Container. Go.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And welcome to another Tales from the High Marches. So this one's a little different. Pretty much everyone playing tonight is from the standard home game that we play. But it's in the same world, and we thought that you guys might enjoy this. So, as always, I am your host and Dungeon Master, Dan Gaston, MadSciDM on Twitter, and we'll go around and have everyone just say hello, mostly a lot of regulars, but some faces that we don't see as often on stream. So, why don't we start up at the top with Matt?
Matt Sheets. I'm playing Karek, who is a Aarakocra monk, Sun Soul monk. He looks like a blue macaw. If anybody wants a Karek, you can get him on Amazon.
All right. Jeff.
I'm Jeff. I'm Atomic Strata on Twitter. And tonight I'm going to be playing Klax, a lizard folk alchemist.
Great. Thanks. Litsa.
I'm Litsa. I am at Litsa Bronwyn on Twitter, and I will be playing Mika, who is a rogue barbarian ranger. Doing life yet?
Multi-class all the things and just stay in school forever. Kyle.
Hi, I am Kyle. I don't have a Twitter. And I play Hendrik, the Fallen Asimir Hexblade.
Excellent. Thanks very much. And Rachel.
I'm Rachel. I also don't have a Twitter.
Luddites.
I'm playing Sela, the human ranger.
Excellent. Hunter, slayer of beasts.
Title needs to be.
Yeah. All right. And Sam.
I'll be playing Zevka, the Asimir Tiefling Hybrid Bloodhunter. I'm another of those without Twitter, but I am the group's resident Brit, so you reach me that way.
Excellent. Thanks very much. All right. So we'll start sort of in the midst of things, but the little backstory on what's happened up to this point is our adventurers had heard rumors that further north on the High Marches, a large floating bit of mountain carved like a skull and with a fortress on top was terrorizing some of the towns and villages in the area, apparently by dropping undead of various kinds and corpses on everything below. And so they went to investigate. Along the way, they've had some adventures, running into some demons, running into some bullets, various other things. But in our last session, they came across an old cleric and his cat that he talked to a lot. And after being friendly and generally non-suspicious and offering lots of help, it turns out they were retired adventurers, and the cat was indeed a polymorphed wizard who teleported them the rest of the way. So cutting off about half of their overland journey with a wave of his hand, as it were. And we left off, they had teleported to just outside of their destination. They're about a mile outside of the town of Odenkeep. And Odenkeep is sort of the last bastion of civilization within the High Marches, this large frontier area. The biggest town around, although it's rather small. They're about a mile north of it, still within its cleared killing ground area where all the trees and things have been cut down around the town walls. And about a mile north of them, they see the floating fortress. So this looks like someone took the top of a mountain, sheared it off, turned it upside down, carved it like Mount Rushmore, but, a little more ghastly, and planted a small fortress that they can see a bit of on top. And that is floating towards them. And that's where we left off. And where we will pick up is, of course, with that they can see, but also they can see the tree line. So they're near the tree line, which starts about a mile from the town. They can hear some horns blaring in the distance behind them. But on the tree line, that's probably about 1,000 feet away or so, you can start to see shapes emerging out of the forest and running towards you, panicky looking over their shoulders. Every once in a while they stop and look over their shoulders. You see various sizes. They resolve themselves into human figures. You see larger ones pausing, scooping up a smaller individual and carrying them as they start running towards you. And as they get closer, it is obvious that these are humans that are sort of running in a panic towards Odenkeep, and you're sort of directly in their path. So, what do you guys do?
I've got my
I'm already anticipating Endrick asking them for payment.
He actually doesn't and runs actually towards them. He starts running at them.
Okay.
He starts running at them. All right.
I'm used to this by now.
Yeah, so as you guys start moving closer towards them, you can see it's probably about 30 people altogether, various ages. As you get closer and closer, they don't really appear to be armed. They're running in a group. They've now made it sort of a couple of 100 feet away from the tree line and towards you.
As soon as I can actually get close enough to yell at him, I just want to start. What is chasing you?
Okay. So as you yell that, what is chasing you, and you see some of the people in the group sort of yell something, make a perception check. So they're yelling sort of over this distance.
I believe that's an 11. Nope, that's a 10.
Your perception is not very good.
Nope, that's a 10.
Okay, so you just hear sort of like a giant monster dead.
That's enough past them.
Yeah, and so as they're getting closer, and so they're still sort of a couple 100 feet away from you. You see these larger figures lumber out of the tree line behind them. Not particularly fast, but these creatures appear to be about 9 feet tall, you would estimate, and kind of heavy set. And they two of them sort of lumber out.
So I'm going to send Scraps out to fly kind of over the people running out just to scare them a bit. And then swoop over them and just try to get the attention of the lumbering monsters and stay well away, but be a distraction.
Correct.
So
just go to take off, and Correct is determined to get ahead of it and be there.
So Clax, for those who have not had the benefit, you are an artificer, and Scraps is relatively new. Why don't you describe Scraps for us?
Scraps is a giant vulture made out of parts that I've scavenged from kills over the past couple years. So mostly bone, has a mummified goblin head and the beak strapped onto it. Looks something like this.
Yep, it's focused there.
Yep. From Black Sounder on Twitter did that. But so nobody's actually seen Scraps flying and in action yet, except around the guild hall. So we'll find out what he does.
Yeah, so as an artificer, you get to build this construct, which can be essentially a large beast. And this one, instead of being made of clockwork and metal, is a horrific abomination that, quite frankly, looks like it is undead. So as it sort of takes off and sort of starts flying over this group, they look up and they immediately sort of, because it's flying towards them, they look up in a panic and turn around and start sort of running away. And then they see these two shapes lumber out of the trees, and they panic and they go sort of east and west, sort of splitting, and they're going sideways, and then trying to run around. But as that is happening, you see from these two figures in the back, one of them pauses a little bit and sort of tilts forward, and you hear this whoomp sound, and then this smaller shape goes flying off from in behind it, arcing up, and directly towards you, and landing right where these villagers are, sort of before they can scatter. But they scatter just as it's about to hit, and you hear this thwack and then cracking sound as you see a sort of small shriveled corpse impact on the ground with this sickening crack, and then it twitches a little bit and pushes itself up, and there's this horrible grinding, grating sound as its broken bones just grind against one another, and it looks like it is a dead goblin, and it just kind of pushes itself up and then lumbers towards you. And I think Endrick would probably be the closest to it.
Do undead goblins count as my favorite enemy? Goblins.
So its creature type would be superseded as undead.
Okay.
I have favorite undead. Actually, if possible, I'd love to move closer and fire at its butt.
Sure, absolutely.
Called shot.
Throwing the great sword from my back, by the way, and casting my Crimson Bite on it.
Okay.
Well, at least I got a +9, because that was a crap roll. What was it with this adventure?
Yeah, I know, right?
That's a 15.
Okay, that hits with this wet thunking sound. Go ahead and roll some damage.
Ah, shoot, I forgot about Hunter's Mark. Again. Single time. So just a D8 then. That's full damage. So that's 12. Am I okay to do my second attack as well?
Sure.
Alright, so that's a 21 on that one.
Okay.
And Slayer, so that's 2d8, which is, what is that, a 7? 17 total?
Yeah.
17 damage on that one.
Okay. So, Endrick, as this creature sort of pushes itself up kind of right in front of you, sort of just offset, there's this horrible grinding sound. And before you have a chance to do anything, you just hear as two arrows streak by like either side of you and impact the goblin and send it just cartwheeling over backwards across the ground, and it lies still, it doesn't twitch. But you do see these shapes have continued lumbering forward, and you can see another group of like sort of shambling creatures in various stages of decay in behind them that are lumbering. So there's these two large shapes, and then there's probably about a dozen or so, you know, other assorted figures. And you see one of the lumbering figures kind of stops the other one, kind of leans forward, and there's this whoomp sound.
Oh.
That's what I figured.
And this other small body comes sailing forward, and it impacts Endrick square. You take 3 points of damage as this body like slams into you and you go stumbling backwards. And then this like scrabbling undead goblin is just clawing at you. What do you do?
I'm going to cut it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hex it and I'm going to cut it.
All right.
Dan, did you explain to the rest of the group how we've been doing initiative this game?
I'm not sure if they've played in ones where I've been sort of playing initiative-less. Sort of like skirmish rules. If there's a really big, important fight, we'll probably do initiative. But otherwise, a lot of these will be fast-moving, so I'll just be throwing stuff and prompting, and you can basically go whenever you want and play off each other. And, yeah.
I'm going to start firing into the crowd.
Okay.
I mean, like the crowd of undead, obviously.
Correct wants to watch for another one of these things incoming to try to intercept it in the air.
Okay.
12.
And Mika, you're attacking with a short bow, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd also have to, advance towards them quite a way because they're sort of several hundred feet away. But you can definitely do that. They're moving towards you, and you can advance. You'll just end up sort of kind of separated from people a little bit.
Can I take disadvantage instead?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm not the first one in there.
I'd like to move in closer too and attack the giant things that are catapulting undead things.
Okay.
And take them back.
And Zevka's
All right.
starting to charge in.
Okay.
Yeah, Clax will run towards the undead goblins.
Okay. And Endrick, why don't you give me the results for your little tussle with the undead goblin?
11.
11. So that it hits. They're
Very easy to hit.
yeah.
Does necrotic matter?
Yeah, no, they're not. You don't think regular sort of zombies and stuff are not necessarily immune to necrotic.
Okay, so that's 18 points of damage.
All right, yeah. So you swipe through it and just cut it in half. This little goblin falls twitching.
And then I continue to charge forward.
Okay. And Mika, what was the results of your attacks with disadvantage?
12 to hit.
12 to hit. They hit. I'm assuming you're firing at a couple of the smaller goblins and zombies, whatever. They're various sizes, so like some of these are probably human corpses or orcs or whatever else as well.
Okay. That's 4 damage.
All right.
Not like Mama Sayla, who kills them in one go.
Hey, I'm also a level 6 ranger. Okay.
All
I'll
right.
take a
So
shot with a crossbow at the goblin
Okay.
by Indrik.
okay.
Well, that
The one by Endrick is toast now. But
the-
we could just assume when you get close enough to
Yeah.
the horde that you take a shot. So yeah, go ahead.
So that's 17 to hit.
That will definitely hit.
This whole time, Zevka's charging towards one of the big undead.
6.
Okay. Okay. So Endrick, Sela, you're getting eventually sort of within good bow range. Zevka, Clax, you guys keep charging in. Endrick, Mika. Krek, what are you doing? You kind of see everyone sort of starting to like unleash. You do see one of these other ogres kind of, or large lumbering things, stop and sort of bend over again, and you see like something ratchet back, and then whoop, one of these.
So he kind of launches towards it to try to snag it out of the air before it can hit somebody.
All right. Give me a general dex, or I guess acrobatics check.
24.
You have no trouble. You couple of beats of your monk enhanced Aarakocra flying speed and just zoom right towards it.
So if he does he have a hold of it then at that point, or?
So you can go ahead and also make a grapple check. I was doing the acrobatics more just for
Okay.
whether you could pull it off to intercepting
Yeah.
it. Yep.
16. That's a straight up strength.
Yeah, and it's going to have disadvantage because, I mean, it's flying through the air and it's a corpse. So you managed to grab a hold of it.
Then he would kind of slide over, whirlwind around, and try to chuck it back at the ogre that launched it.
All right, go ahead and make a ranged attack roll with disadvantage. So you're sort of channeling its momentum, and it's kind of, it's not super big, but you're also kind of not super big.
Ranged attack. So with Dex then?
With Dex, yeah.
Plus 4, 13, 17?
Yeah. Go ahead and roll me a D8.
5.
5. All right. So you grab it and basically kind of fly and then bowling ball it, right, at one of these creatures through the air, sort of underhand, and it just tumbles and smacks into it, and it staggers backwards. You can see it was in the process of there was this small creature in behind it ratcheting this catapult mechanism, and when it hit, that catapult mechanism wasn't locked in place yet, and it triggered and snapped upwards, caught the creature that was in behind it in the jaw, and just sent it flying backwards in through the crowd. And then, you saw some straps and stuff break, and this catapult mechanism kind of half slide off, and the lumbering creature just keeps woof forward.
So I'm going to yell at Scraps to attack the lumbering creature. I don't know if you hear me or not, but
I imagine that it does.
Okay. So let's see. So the stats on the giant vulture, he normally get moldy attack. Does that apply to the artifact?
As far as I know from reading the artificer stat block, it's identical to that stat block. So
that's what I thought. Okay, so a talon attack and a beak attack. Talon is a 21 and beak is 15.
Both of those hit.
Okay, let's see. So the talon is 8 point slashing.
Okay.
And 7 points piercing.
Okay. So I'm going to assume this is on the other one because Krek is sort of, just threw one into one.
Yeah, sure.
And then the construct is diving down at this other one and sort of tears and rips across it. Does it have flyby attack or?
It does not.
Okay.
Pack is the only thing it has. So.
Okay.
And we aren't for that.
Yeah. So this lumbering monstrosity, you can see it actually had this big, massive club in one hand, which it just swings at the construct. That is a 25 to hit.
Yeah, that will hit.
And it does 13 points of bludgeoning damage.
Ouch. Okay.
So it just this big club comes up and smashes it. And you can see bits of small bone and things go flying off of Scraps.
Like, hey,
Scraps is then flying away.
Krek goes, yay! What a pity!
So anyone who still has ranged attacks, you would still be within range distance. Everyone else who's moving into melee is still kind of charging towards melee. So what are you guys doing?
I'm going to Hunter's Mark and shoot again.
Okay. One of these bigger creatures, one of the smaller ones?
Still trying to pick off the small ones right now.
Okay. Yeah. So you got that one that you injured before.
Okay, yeah, I'll go after him. That's 19 to hit.
That hits.
Nice. 14 damage.
Okay.
There you go.
Just like Mama Sailor taught me.
Yeah. And you can see as your arrow arcs, poof, and then catches it square in the eye, and it falls over backwards and is not moving. Anyone else making ranged attacks?
Yes. I meant to say it as we were running to get in better range. I would have liked to have yelled at all the people, scattering, get somewhere safe before, being a badass again.
Yeah, they're definitely running and generally going towards the town.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I emphasized that point.
Yeah.
So I will Hunter's Mark. I will do the same thing as Litza, pick off the smaller ones, seeing as people are going in for melee with the bigger ones.
Okay.
I'm going to Hunter's Mark because I always forget to freaking do that. And I need to if I want to get even more damage. So first attack, that's a 19.
That definitely hits.
So it hasn't been injured, so it's just Hunter's Mark and regular, which is, that's 5 and 4 is 9 damage on that first attack.
All right. And you see this small creature just kind of running forward, starting to pick up speed, and your arrow catches it, and it goes tumbling backwards.
Right. Maybe Hunter's Mark was like a waste for me because I have a lot of damage. So
but you can keep it up, right, and just move it as a bonus action. So you don't have to recast it yet.
I know, but if I'm gonna make my second attack, I can't use my Hunter's Mark on my next one because it's a bonus action to move it, and I already used my bonus action to cast it.
Right? Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That's the downfall. That's why I was like, is it really worth it now? All right, so second attack on a different enemy. That's 23.
Okay.
And that's just 1d8 because it's probably one that hasn't been injured. That's 7 damage.
Okay. Yeah, there's actually quite a lot of these smaller creatures. You get the impression are actually quite weak. They're, corpses that have been maybe active for quite some time. So essentially any pretty significant, any mediocre blow is tending to send them scattering.
On the way, charging in, I want to hex the one that had its own ammunition thrown at it. Is that correct? And then cast Armor of Agathis on myself.
Okay. All right. And so... go ahead.
Partway through, I hunch over, start running in all 3 as I go into my wolf form.
All right. Okay, so you guys are running, and so some of these creatures are still starting to pick up speed. The one that Scraps had attacked, you see this, motion around behind it, and there's like a woof as this corpse goes flying and misses everybody and hits into the ground sort of in behind you.
Going to throw an acid at it.
Okay.
That's a DC 15 dex.
It is prone, so good thing. So disadvantage. And so it fails.
9.
All right, so there's just this hissing sound as this rotten goblin corpse starts just dissolving into a pool of sludge on the ground.
Then I'm just going run as full out to the one that attacked Scraps.
Okay. All right, so as you guys converge on these larger creatures, you can indeed see that you could describe these 2 larger creatures essentially as ogres. So warped descendants of giants, in contrast to the fierce, or wilder, stupider, and sort of meaner and nastier, debased cousins, as it were. cannibalistic, all of that fun stuff. But these ones are worse because they are dead. And so their flesh is sloughing off. And one of them still has this contraption rigged to it. And you can see these scrambling creatures in behind it that apparently seem to be more intelligent than this undead horde that is approaching. The two lumbering creatures kind of are slowing down a little bit, and the other, mix of essentially zombies and skeletons and that sort of thing are rushing out towards to sort of intercept you guys, that you'll have to hack your way through them. And like kind of all shapes and sizes. You now see there's human corpses, some that have been dead longer than others. There's fierce corpses, so the half giants of the far north above here. People that look more like the typical human, somewhat related to the fierce clans who live in the high marches themselves. And there's also a mix of like goblins, bugbears, hobgoblins, all that sort of thing. But they are all undead.
Do I think that I could get around the horde to the ogres around that?
Yeah.
How long would that take?
Yeah, you could probably spend basically another round where you could still make some ranged attacks to kind of circle and flank around. So, you could pick off creatures as you're moving.
I'll do that.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and make some attack rolls for me.
19.
All right.
Can I bonus action move the hunter's mark?
Yep, absolutely.
To anyone? Okay. 8 damage.
Okay. So one of the small scrabbling sort of minions gets taken by the arrow and gets knocked over, and you can see gets pinned down to the ground.
Correct would dive on the one that he already hit whenever we get around to that.
Okay. Yep, go ahead. You're super fast and flying around, so for you it's not really much of a problem.
Let's see. So quarterstaff 9 and an 11.
Those both hit though.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's a big lumbering corpse.
So on the first one, he's going to do a stunning strike on it.
Okay. So a Constitution save.
Yeah.
And that's an 18.
Yeah, I think 14 is my... Yep, 14. All right, he saves. And then the third attack is just the claw, but that was a natural 1, so that would be an 8. But I think a 1 fails anyway, right?
Yeah, the 1 fails anyway, yeah, but you can roll damage on your other ones.
9, 7, 16.
Okay.
And then he back up.
Yes, and you do have that sort of flyby attack, so it doesn't get a reaction off as you kind of come down, smack it across the face with your staff, get one of your unarmed strikes in, and kind of half-heartedly go to claw at it, but don't manage to land anything. So Endrick and Zevka, as you guys are running into melee, you have sort of this horde that you essentially have to hack your way through. But like I said, these are, even compared to undead you've encountered before, these are in pretty decrepit shape. So a stiff breeze will basically do them.
I like that. Hendrick's just going to start cleaving his way through.
Okay. So go ahead and make some attack rolls for me.
Right, that's a 14.
Okay.
I'm not bothering with Hex because I feel like it. That's 16 points of damage.
Okay.
And then I'll use the other end. Catch another one on the way by.
Okay.
12.
Yep.
Good. Okay, fine. for 10 points of damage.
Did you think it was?
Yeah, I didn't trust that. I rolled max the first time, and then I rolled it again. It rolled max again. I was like,
So as you whirl your scythe blade around, the first strike cuts through the necks of 2 of them, and they topple around, and then your butt end catches a third, crushing its skull. And then as you sort of go through, there's a couple of them nearby that basically all take swipes at you. And only one of them will hit you, because that's a non-natural 20.
that's
Dirty 20.
And it just does 4 points of slashing damage. But then you... Oh, yes, right. Because you have that thing active.
Thing.
Armor of Agathis.
So the cold. So yeah, so as you bust through, a couple of them go to swipe at you. They don't land blows. You're kind of moving too fast. They're clumsy. They kind of get in each other's way. But that one that manages to slip through, as it hits, this explosion of ice off of your body cracks up its arm until it sweeps over, kind of getting its shoulder up over its head, solidifies, and then cracks apart. And so there's only like from here down, and then the corpse just falls over. And then you bust through. So you kind of punch through the lines. Zapka, what about you?
I'm just muttering to myself, may the good goddess light... try and speak without stumbling over my words. May the good goddess guide me, and following Hendrik's example and just swinging with the greatsword.
All right.
So that's a 19.
Oh yes, that definitely hits.
Okay. So 2 1s, so with great weapon fighting I can re-roll them, right?
Yep.
Yep. I get a D4 with the... as
And the D4 for... Yep.
Right up, and a D4 for my Crimson Bite. So for a total of 11 points of damage.
Okay. So similarly, another 2 as you just, swing and then wheel this greatsword around. This massive black iron blade that as you, rip through this elder rune carved on the blade, turns a fiery orange, and sort of almost the whole blade gets this crackling, almost, red hot iron look to it. And the flames of your crimson right, as it just smashes through 2 of these corpses that then ignite and just burn away into ash. And so a couple of them also will swipe at you as you're kind of punching through the line. That one is a dirty 20, and that one was a 16. What's your armor class?
Normally it would be 16, but since I'm in Lycan form, it's up to 17.
Okay. And that one's a 19 and a 16. So two of them hit. That's a total of 5 points of slashing damage. Basically just their bony kind of fingers punching through their flesh as they're swiping at you. But then you punch through the lines as well, and there's just the 2 lumbering undead ogres. Sela, Zabka, what are you guys doing? Or Klax, I mean.
I would love to continue firing at the smaller, insignificant little femurs. I don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah. Well, and there's just more of them keep coming, right? There was a dozen at first, but just more of them keep coming out of the woods.
I wonder then if it would... You know what? I'm actually going to ignore my Hunter's Mark, and I'm going to cast Hail of Thorns.
Okay.
So, which I think only counts for 1 attack anyway, right?
It does, yes.
Yeah. So, All right.
But it triggers on a hit, so it's not wasted if your shot misses.
Good, because that'd be very upsetting.
I think you literally have to roll above a 1.
Right, because my attack is +9.
Yeah.
I got a 16, so that's a 25.
Yeah, that definitely hits.
The target of the attack and each creature within 5 feet of it must make a dexterity saving throw, which is a dexterity of 14 dex save.
Okay, and they're minus...
So you have your normal attack, so roll the 1d8 for that.
Yeah.
And then that was just a straight 10. I'll keep that one separate.
Okay, -2. So, miss. All right. So out of 6 that fit that category, 1 saved.
All right. Well,
The initial target.
Oh, okay. Well, thank God. Creature takes 1d10 piercing on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. So either way, he's taking damage.
Yep.
So for the regular attack, it was a 9. I haven't rolled the d10. And the d10 is 7 damage.
All right.
So that was to all the other ones.
All the ones who failed.
Because I think, all the ones who failed.
Yep.
That was useful. That's the first time I've ever used Hail of Thorns, I think. And I've had it for like 3-4 levels.
Yeah, so 5 of them, just as this explosion of hail, of thorns rips out through them. It just shreds through a bunch of them. And then one of them kind of gets, half of its face ripped away, but then kind of keeps lumbering forwards.
Then I will use my second attack on him. Take him down. If that's okay. Well, that's a 12.
Okay.
I know it's not going to take much damage to kill him, but I'm going to use Colossus Slayer anyway because he's already damaged. So. That's
overkill.
9 prior to my added regular damage. That's 13.
Okay. So your arrow sort of punches through its head and just drills it as it flops down over.
So I was running towards an ogre, so am I in this mix of lots of undead too?
Yes, that's true. Yes, you would have to sort of also punch through the line.
So I'm going to toss a alchemical fire. It's a 5-foot radius.
All right.
DC 15.
Fail. Fail.
8 damage to all of them.
All right.
It's a shame our characters don't talk much, because if Correct could rain that on people, it would be pretty useful.
All right, so yes, you throw this alchemical fire in in thick of it. It just ignites with this woof as these 6 corpses just go up like dry kindling. And then Klax leaps through the flames, punching through this hole, and there's nothing nearby to take a swipe at you as you just tumble through on the other side.
Excellent.
Sweet.
Excellent. My plan is to run at the ogre and jump onto him.
All right. So correct. I think you're pretty much the only one who hasn't done anything this round, as it were.
So he'd circle around and come in to whack the same ogre again.
All right.
10?
Yes.
And then a 17.
Yep.
And then we'll do a flurry of blows this time. 13 and a 13.
Okay. Go ahead and roll that boatload of monk damage.
I'm going to have to add this up. So 18 for the first two. And then 6s. And then 14 for the second two. So, 30 total?
Okay. Sounds right. Okay, so yeah, you just come down and it's just this whirling, spinning dervish of quarterstaff blows and hand strikes and claw swipes.
Blue and gold spinning and smacking and then disappearing.
Yeah, and then as you get away, you're sort of 20 feet away and there's this lumbering swipe, just delayed, but you get away way too quickly. And it's looking pretty shredded up. You can see just where your talons have torn into it, this rotting flesh just peeling away in big slabs that are hanging away from its rib cage. You can see sort of pulsing intestines. It does not look terribly pretty. And then Zavka and Endrick are sort of running in, and the two of these creatures sort of lean forward and stumble towards you guys and take swipes on their turns. Endrick, that's a plus. Oh, yep, that's a 22 to hit on you, and on Zavka, it will not hit. So that's... Yeah, so 13 points, Endrick.
And 10 points of cold.
And 10 points of cold.
And my armor's gone.
Aww.
Yeah. All right, and that was the one that that Karek had been tackling. So as it smacks you with its club, and then this frost creeps up its arm, and it sort of shakes it, and the frost falls away, but huge chunks of its flesh too as well.
I'm concerned that my cat's reaching for the battle axe behind me.
The cat wants to join the fray. He's like, I will save you.
Cat bird. Multiplying into barbarian.
Clacks, sort of some of these, undead that were pouring out kind of circle around and kind of go towards you, but almost like a mob, they're just going to go over and past you and go as they go by. And none of them manage to get purchased. They're all clawing at you, but they don't get anything.
I ignore them and run towards something.
Yeah. Mika, Sela, what about you guys?
Can I get a sneak attack shot on one of the big ones? Is anybody close enough, distracting enough?
Both of them. One has Endrick sort of right up in its business, and Zavka is on the other one.
Okay. I'm gonna... Oh, they're both my friends. This is hard.
The one that Zavka is entangled with is more intact, if that helps you at all.
I'll just shoot at whichever one's closest to me. DM's choice.
I will, let's see, Zevka's.
All right. Zevka punched me in the face, so we're friends.
What's demon,
10 to hit.
That does hit.
All right. Shitty dice. That is 11 damage.
Okay. So your arrow sinks deep in a seemingly vital area. Non-washable Gamer has informed us that we're witnessing the birth of a Tabaxi barbarian, Jeff.
Yes, I think so.
I have to agree. Mine is the observer. She's a born supervisor. She's just watching me.
There you go.
All right, so that sinks in deep. Sela, what about you?
There's still a bunch of this weird little horde left, right?
There is, yeah, because sort of more of them keep coming out. but you've definitely whittled it down so that it's, what's coming out isn't keeping up with how many you're killing.
And they're just coming from the forest, right? They're not...
They're all kind of just pouring out of the forest, trailing in behind this horde.
All right, I'm actually gonna use Hail of Thorns again.
Okay.
Because that worked really friggin' well last time. And I'll just pick one of the smaller ones and kick its ass. That's a 22.
Okay.
So just 1d8, and I'll roll 10 now.
Okay.
So for the normal attack on the one enemy, that's a total of 9 damage.
Okay, and your D10.
And I'm max damaged on the Hail of Thorns.
Ooh.
To whichever ones didn't save, that is 10 damage.
Nice.
Okay.
Whichever ones did save, that is 5.
Yeah, so 2 of them saved, but one of them was the one that also get hit by the arrow, so even the half damage on the Hail of Thorns, the arrow alone would have killed it. So only one of them, who had a natural 20, is managed to avoid that.
Then I will fire on his butt. With my second, that's the same attack, 22.
Okay, perfect. And so, roll damage just because it's fun to do lots of damage.
Colossus Slayer. Full damage on 1 dice, so that's 17 damage. 17 damage.
All right, so your arrow breaks the space-time continuum, and somehow the undead that it hits simply vanishes and disappears. All right, so Endrick, Zebka.
All right, so are there any of the little guys around me right now?
There's always some that would be nearby, sure.
Because I want to take the big ogre, I want to put my scythe into his chest and drag him on top of the little guys.
All right. So go ahead and we'll treat the, like a grapple, basically. But if you want, you can sort of make an attack roll. And if you hit, you can make your grapple check with advantage. You won't do any damage from the attack, but I'll let you use that instead to gain advantage on the grapple.
That's great.
Okay, that's a 20. That's a 21.
All right, so you sink the scythe blade sort of deep into its flesh. It doesn't really seem to damage it. It's undead, so it doesn't hurt too much. But go ahead.
For the grapple, that is athletics 19.
Okay, and this is the one you had hexed, right? So which ability score? Had it been strength? I don't remember.
I never actually said. I would do strength because I know they have shitty decks.
Yeah. And so disadvantage. So yes, it fails. So you have it grappled, and then sort of shove it onto one of these other ones. So you push it, and it kind of just stumbles backwards. It doesn't fall over, but it kind of like trundles over it, and it does not get out of the way, and just flattens one of them as it kind of goes careening backwards.
Nice.
And then you've kind of got it on your pole arm, like just out there.
That works for me.
Zebka.
Just roaring, I'm leaping and look to strike it in the neck with the greatsword.
All right.
So that's a total of 30 to hit.
That hits.
Okay. That's a total of 16 points of damage.
All right. All right, so as your greatsword slices across, the flames streaking off and cauterizing, burning into the wound, you can just smell this pungent odor of burning, rotten flesh. Like cooking a steak that has gone bad and gone kind of green and slimy, and then you throw it on a hot grill. Not that I've ever done that, but...
As a bonus action, I'm actually taking one of my claws and raking it across my chest. And
Okay.
I'm casting my Bite on my claws as well.
Okay.
So flaming claws and a flaming sword.
Yep, so then you're holding the greatsword, and then your claws are on fire as well. Perfect. There is a giant werewolf with a flaming sword and flaming claws. Correct, Zavko. What about you guys?
So I'm going to have second thoughts about jumping on this large guy, and instead I'm going to throw acid at him.
Okay.
So DC 15 dex.
And he definitely fails.
That's 14 points.
All right. And is this the one that Endrick has sort of grappled, or that Zevka is tangling with?
This would be the same one that Scraps attacked.
Okay. Yeah, which I think is the one that Endrick is currently... or no, it would be the one that Zevka was, because Krek was doing the other one.
And actually, Scraps, the last command he had for me was to attack that one, so he'd probably do that.
Sounds good.
So, Beacon Talon, that's a 22 and a 14.
Yes, those both hit.
Okay. So, let's see. That is 4 points of damage.
Yeah. All right.
I rolled 2 ones on the dice, and 5 points of damage.
Okay.
So, not very effective.
But nevertheless, there's this hissing, bubbling sound as large bits of its flesh kind of dissolve away. It is quite a pungent odor that's reeking up. We could call it Jeffrey Dahmer's basement. That would be what we'll call that candle. I don't think cantrip candles will make that one for us.
Probably not.
No, but it's looking pretty messed up. Both of them are looking pretty hurt at the moment. Okay, Krek.
So Krek will just come in as a ball of fury and attack the same one again.
All right.
24. 21.
Yes.
14. And 16.
All right.
And let's see, 10, 18, and 14. So
all right.
32.
Okay. Oh yeah, it doesn't make that. All right, so as you come down the spinning feathered fury and just cracking into it, there's sickening crack and popping sounds, and then this creature sort of stumbles over backwards and just falls onto its back. Your final blow sort of crushed right in where its frontal lobe would be on its skull, and it twitches a couple of times and then is still. The remaining one takes a swing at Zavka and is not going to hit with a 2, as this woofing sound goes over your head as you kind of just duck underneath as this club, swings around at you. What are you doing?
Anybody?
Anybody?
Anybody. Oh, okay. I thought you were asking Zavka specifically.
Well, but anybody can, there's no order, right? So.
I don't know, if I'm going to snarl back at it, then I'm trying to see if I can't take its head off.
All right.
Decapitation!
That's a total of 16 to hit.
That definitely hits.
4, plus 5, 13 points of damage. No, sorry, 14 points of damage. My bad.
Okay. And with that, yes, your flaming greatsword catches it square in the neck and lops its head off with this sizzling sound as it slices through. And the rest of, this horde of undead, there's like a few sort of stragglers left that you would be able to kind of just mop up, or they break and, some of them kind of lumber back into the forest. But everything starts going pretty eerily quiet, and sort of in the distance, now closer. It started off sort of a mile away, but it's now quite a lot closer, is this floating island mountain fortress thing, just kind of slowly getting closer and closer.
Are all the people gone?
Yeah, as you kind of look back, they've now at this point are, they haven't made it into the town. They're not moving quite that quickly, but they're all headed in that direction. And you can see sort of the gates have opened up, and there's, you can in the distance see a squad of militia sort of standing outside the gates, kind of beckoning and yelling to the people that are running.
Well, I guess we go towards the giant floating thing.
So
Are we gonna get up there?
Correct lands, and he's dancing around on the ground in that sort of super excited bird, the only thing a bird can do, and he's like all kind of pooped up, and he's pointing with the staff. This one told you someday the evil would be in the sky.
Oh boy.
I thought it was holes you didn't like.
Oh, he's excited because it's like, look, I'm going to be useful. I'm going to. This sudden realization of, wait, the rest of you have to get up there.
Yeah.
I'll call Scraps over and give him one of my healing drafts to repair him.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, do you need any healing?
Actually, I'm fine.
You're fine?
No.
No? Then don't lie.
No, actually, I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
This time.
You guys want to head right for the giant fortress then? Yeah?
Sure.
Yep.
So
Alright.
Craig could go fly scout it, try to figure out if there's any way up. For the rest
Can we
of
give
you.
you some rope too? So maybe we can. I mean, I know it's a lot of scaling, but that's the only way I think we'll be able to get up there.
It's quite high. So like it's floating like at least several hundred feet above the ground.
Oh, jeez.
Scraps can carry us up.
Let this one have a look first. Perhaps the solution will present itself.
Just don't get shot down.
He goes
This one
like a
does not
million
get
miles. He can't get hit.
Really true.
And when he does get hit, he just deflects it like a pro.
So we can do that.
Do you want Scraps to carry one of us up? Maybe somebody tiny?
Scraps could probably carry us. I haven't tried that with him yet.
Yeah, he's size large, so he can definitely carry at least one person. It's sort of like a horse, but he's flying. So I'd say, he could carry one person for sure. Someone small could probably tag along, but probably would have a difficult time carrying two sort of like full-size people.
Unless he
so-
wants to go alone.
Speaking of horses, did ours get transported with us, or are they back at the boat?
No,
Okay.
they get transported with you. I usually just kind of assume that you dismount and fight, unless you explicitly say.
Yeah.
But
Well, I do actually have mountain land proficiency, but I'm wondering if I should just take the horses to the town so they're not standing in the middle of a field open for stealing her. So I'm going to quickly do that while correct scouting.
Well, might as well get together with the locals, see what they know before we go charging directly in.
I think we
Well,
should
it's-
still fight.
Or we could have a snack.
It's coming. It's coming.
it's bearing down, right? It was only a mile away, so it's getting close. It probably wouldn't even be an hour before it gets to the town.
Not that I care if everyone dies, just saying.
So I'll turn to Mika and say, if you want to try, he should be able to carry.
Okay. She'll drop all of her non-essential gear and not climb on, but like grab its foot or something.
Should be easy to climb. It's just bones.
I don't know if it would like it. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. She'll climb on.
If that one damages it, it's no great loss.
I'm not gonna hurt it. She's like 100 pounds, maybe.
Yeah.
I just don't want to leave this out in the open. That's all. So I just want to take care of that quick before.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of assume that you can get them either they're relatively smart. You could kind of send them off. You probably wouldn't have time to like actually take them and talk to people and stable them, but you could stake them out somewhere in the field or find a more sheltered spot on the tree line and tie them up. I tend not to kill people's horses.
Thank you. I should think my horse knows better after all the adventures we've been through.
Yeah.
Communication, you know?
Yeah.
At a guess then, how long would it take to fly up to the fortress?
It would be at least, depending on how direct you went, but probably, like 10 minutes or something.
Okay. Then I don't think I have a way up there either.
I don't have my spells yet.
We might just have to wait until... We might just have to have, like, Scraps and Correct carry us up one by one. That's all we can do.
Correct gives Scraps another one of those dirty looks and then does his, classic Neo kneel down and goes, and takes off flying.
And goes way faster than Scraps does.
Yeah. All those Scraps fly speed is 60, so.
What is it?
Yeah.
Crap, that's actually on par, I think, right?
No, I think Krek is like 80 or something, right?
70.
70?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then if he's dashing, it's 140 versus 120.
Yep.
And he can spend key to actually do more. So why don't you guys describe to me your approach? All you can really see from the bottom is sort of this, bit of floating chunk of rock. It's got a carved bit on it that looks vaguely like a skull. And then you can barely see that there is some sort of construction on the top of it where, you think it's relatively flat. So like some sort of fortress or house or something. And you have no idea what's up there or keeping, an eye out or anything like that.
We know it's not an intelligent undead because we asked the goddess.
Yep, that's true. It's goddess.
Quirk and Mika can try to find the engine room and crash it. That way we know for sure it's not going to get to the city.
Yeah, I think Correct would probably start at the bottom and kind of go around looking up, see if there's anything obvious that was keeping the thing, not coming in necessarily from a magical perspective, but, is there anything obvious that would be keeping the thing afloat?
Okay.
We'd probably check on Uru once in a while because he knows Uru reacts to magic stuff. See if there's any temperature change or.
Yeah. And so as you're flying up to approach it, you kind of have two options, right? To be slower and somewhat stealthy. As stealthy as you can be as flying creatures in the air. But, still, you can try and take approaches at non-obvious sight lines and things like that. That will be slower, so it will make more progress towards Odenkeep. And you can take the, super direct route, but you'll be more open and visible.
I think I vote stealthy.
Oh, I think Correct's just, he's just, sorry. He didn't even stop to talk. He's just like, I'm going.
Well, she's just on Scraps, whatever Scraps does. I don't have a choice in it.
I would have told Scraps just to follow the big blue bird.
follow that bird.
What's that?
Bird.
Okay.
Maybe I should start going meep meep every time I take off like that.
Okay, so you guys fly up and approach it. Why don't you guys give me first? Give me perception checks.
10.
4.
Okay, it's a big hunk and floating rock. Big hunk of floating rock. Now I'm the one garbling everything. So the only obvious thing you can see as you approach is where this skull sort of carving is. The eye sockets and stuff are just depressions, but the mouth is definitely an opening. And I know, Krek, you were going to sort of, do an investigation looking for other things. So why don't you also give me an investigation check?
3.
And we'll say that Mika is probably helping you. So advantage. Yeah. I was starting to say that before you said the 3.
7.
Sounds
All
about
right. Okay. So
Are we doing that? We have icon rolls or?
Oh yes.
Anything like that?
I know. I need to make myself a checklist. I keep forgetting
I
these.
didn't think about it.
Yeah, I don't forget them in the home games, but on stream. So yes, everyone should roll to see if you have any re-rolls available to you with your D6s, your icon rolls.
Got a 5 for the undying.
Okay.
I have
Alright.
a 5 for the queen and 5 for Shadowhand.
Okay, so you have 2 re-rolls with complications, and Endrick has 1.
I have a 5 with a high priestess.
Okay, so you can choose to use that if you wish. Use the 5 to re-roll a 20, although it may present complications.
Yeah, so he thinks maybe he was moving a little too fast, so he slows down a little bit to have another look around.
Wise young grasshopper. Got a 4. Slowed down and got distracted by all that rock. So, you're flying around and checking things out. You do find near the back another, what looks like small cave entrance. Pretty much only big enough for a person, maybe 2, to be side by side in. And as you were keeping an eye on Uru, as you get close to it, some of the runes did start to glow and light up with this blue kind of electric light. And every once in a while, a little bit of static electricity just, discharges off of this stone that you carry.
So it's a back door and it reacts to the stone. I think that's a pretty good in right there. Although
I want to go in the hole.
So Correct could gesture, and then I think Correct still wants to go over to see what's on top.
Okay.
I want to. If I'll try to get Scraps to take me. I don't know if he will, but
I think he was basically instructed to do what you say. So he can't get in. He's too big.
Yeah.
But he could land and yeah. So it'd be a little tricky to dismount and get in. So I will get you to give me an acrobatics check. It's not super hard, but I will warn you, if you fail, it's a long drop.
I want to go in the hole.
Okay.
Okay. Oh God, it's a nat 1. That's a 6.
All right, a 6. Okay.
Yeah.
So you go to dismount off of Scraps, and you're going to go in the hole, but there's a buffet of wind that catches you, and you slide and feel yourself sliding off, and you're then sliding down this sort of cliff face, madly scrabbling at it. I need you to give me a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, Lord.
That's another nat 1. 6.
All right.
Total.
Okay.
My dice are trying to kill me, guys.
Yeah. So you're going to grab at it, And then you're plummeting off. You do have several rounds. What would Scraps do without anyone around?
And would you like
I'm definitely yelling for Scraps.
How smart is Scraps?
Not very smart. Intelligence of 6.
That's not dumb though. That's it's smart enough to like know a language and all of that.
Yeah, and it is trained to listen to commands in like its name. So if she was screaming, probably a pretty good chance. Especially if I told it follow her commands.
Yeah.
So.
And it does follow fast enough. So I will have Scraps can make an acrobatics check essentially to try and grapple and catch her as she falls.
That is 11.
An 11. All right. All right. So what happens is she's tumbling. Scraps dives down after her. Scraps manages to, catch up partway through her fall, barely snag her, but isn't really strong enough to maintain a good grip. And so then, he basically got like a bit of the pant leg, which rips away, and she continues, but it was enough to break part of the fall up, right? Like halting your momentum on the fall.
If I get close to the ground, I would like to rage.
Very good. All right. Yes. So you've got to time it, right? Because you've got 6 seconds that your rage is up. Okay.
So if he wouldn't, Correct wouldn't have. If he heard her scream for it, Correct probably not trust.
You were flying up over. You're flying up over the top. You could give me a perception check.
Okay.
Do we see this from the ground?
Oh yeah.
Probably.
Just start running towards where he thinks she's going to land.
I'm trading that.
What was your perception check?
10.
Yeah, you didn't hear. This is the buffeting winds around. So Mika, I will get you to give me an intelligence check for your timing of your rage.
Lord, not you. You're a bad die. Go away. Oh, nat 20. So that's a 19.
All right. So you will manage to rage in time. And because of the fall being broken up, it's only equivalent to falling 100 feet.
Awesome.
Only 100.
So that's only 10d6 instead of 20d6, which is the maximum fall damage. So 9, 10, 12, 17, 20. It's actually only 21 points of damage.
Oh, I'm still conscious.
Yep, and then and then halved from your rage, right? So
yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, the falling damage isn't that bad in 5e.
Yeah.
It's one of my complaints because it's too low.
When it's gonna be like, I found a back door.
Yeah, and so then you just smack into the ground. You're still angry though because you took damage, so your rage is still up if you want it to be.
Is anyone near me?
And then Scraps kind of lands beside you.
It gives you part of your clothes back.
I think Endrick and Sevka would running over as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Klax would have too, because he's like, well, that didn't work.
I will voluntarily end my rage.
I'll offer a healing breath.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you!
Oh no, it's not the pinkies, is it?
No.
Okay. So Mika would probably be the least grossed out by.
She actually might like that, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a staple.
Yeah, this is just a healing graph. It's 3d8.
Aw, thanks. Thanks, friend.
Yes, for anyone not aware of pinkies, they are pickled, hairless baby rats turned into healing potions.
Oh.
Correct would love that.
We learned all kinds of fun things in the sewers.
Which Clax has been making.
Clax has been making.
So Mika's gonna reach over and pat Scraps and be like, "It's not his fault. It's not his fault. He did good."
Clax says, "Really?
Yeah.
So he could carry you. Has to.
Yeah.
Correct. Give me so as you're flying over the top of this, give me a perception check.
21.
Okay. So now your eagle eyes, you're laser focused in on. So as you fly overhead, you can see that there is indeed not a huge structure built on the top of this, plateau, essentially. About the size of like a cathedral, in a sort of similar shape. It's kind of, although built sort of like a Viking longhouse, like, this rounded sort of peaked top, and it's very long and it's rectangular, but, rounded off, edges sort of thing. And at each of the corners is a spire. And then there's a little bit of a tower that rises up a bit higher to like a viewing platform. And it's that tower that you could see from the ground. And so you just couldn't really judge, exactly how big the structure was. And then there's this big cleared area. And the cleared area all around it is just teeming with movement. Which as you kind of look in, you recognize that it's just a horde of undead of various sizes. You can see fierce, you can see ogres, you can see skeletal sort of, you can see like pieced together what look like dragons, but they're totally skeletons that have just been kind of pieced together. There's other sort of large reptilian creatures as well. And then there's some figures, moving around in sort of grayish garb that don't appear to be undead, at least not obviously undead, moving around and occasionally grouping some of these other undead into like little pockets or units, essentially. And some of them are moving them and lining them up on the front edge as it's approaching. The movement seems to generally be towards the front, so as they coast over the city. And from what you've heard before, they, kind of just throw some of these off. And yeah, so in these various sizes. And then around the top of the viewing platform, you can see there's just this like diffuse mist that is clustered around it. And as you're flying, it's, as you get kind of closer towards that, I mean, you're not necessarily getting close, but, as you're arcing over it, Uru is like kind of crackling, and there's more like little discharges of static electricity coming off of it, like leaping out of your haversack. And you can start feeling yourself like just surrounded by this electric charge, almost as if all the air around you is statically charged. And it's there that we are going to take a break. So we will be back in 5 or 10 minutes or so as we refresh ourselves, and we will be right back. All right, everybody. We are back from our quick break. And I'm assuming, yep, looks like I got everything all unmuted. So, when we left off, Karek was scanning over this floating fortress and noticing that his giant crafted magic rock is resonating with some sort of electrical elemental energy, which is new for it. I think it's done ice and fire before, but never electric. And Mika survived a potentially fatal plunge through some luck and quick thinking and a multitude of factors sort of lessening the potential impact. So she is angry on the ground at the moment. Krek is over top of this flying fortress, and everyone else is on the ground. So what are you guys doing?
I want to go again. Send me back up.
Climb back on.
Okay.
Scraps back.
See,
And I'll tell Scraps, now take care of her this time.
It's not his fault.
Idea, Mika. If you are able to from up there, I'm thinking, attach a rope or two to an arrow and fire it in. Because that's what your issue was, right? It was getting in the cave. And that way you at least have something to grab onto.
Okay.
Maybe that'll help.
Thanks, Mama Sayla.
Hey, I don't need to lose another one.
I won't die, I promise.
Good. Better not.
How far above it?
Electrical aura didn't seem to have any specific source. It was just kind of around.
Well, you noticed as you got sort of closer, as you get close to the thing at all, the whole floating mountain, that it started, but definitely seemed to intensify when you get close to this watchtower that seems to be wreathed at the top in this thick fog.
How big is the tower? Like big enough for creatures to be in, or?
Yes, yeah. It doesn't look like something that would have a lot of rooms or anything in it. It's a little bit bigger at the top, so it maybe has kind of a room at the top of the spire, and then it's probably just big enough to have like a set of stairs that goes up.
Think he would probably land on top of that thing. Being correct and all, he likes to land on high, tall things and scope from there.
Okay.
I am heading once more for the hole.
Actually,
Right.
Dan, would I think that Klax could carry both myself and Mika?
Yep, Mika's probably small enough that with one other person could go up.
I'll get on as well and say, okay, let's go see what's up there.
All right. So Scraps kind of strains himself, but launches himself into the air. His wings are beating sort of more ponderously. He doesn't have the greatest lift anyways. His ragged, feathered wings seems to be held aloft more with a hope and a prayer and a little bit of magic. But you guys make your way up, and you then do come across this whole entrance that's about big enough that one person at a time or so can squeeze in.
I'll point it out, and then I'm gonna fish out a grappling hook.
Okay.
Because I'm not gonna be cocky this time. And I will attempt to throw the grappling hook into the hole and catch it on something.
All right. So throwing it in is pretty easy. You chuck it in. Just roll me a percentile dice.
$18.
All right. So it goes clattering in. You hear it clatter. And you go to pull, and it doesn't seem to catch on anything. You hear it ting across a few potential catches, but it doesn't seat in deeply, and it sort of pulls out.
I would like to... I'd like to tie an arrow to some rope, like Sayla said, and try to fire an arrow in there.
Okay.
Maybe I can lodge something. Is that just attack roll?
Yeah.
Ugh. 11.
All right. So you fire it. It kind of clatters on sort of the side of the tunnel, go skipping in deeper, but it doesn't seem to have found a point. You do think with the grappling hook, it probably will lodge onto something. It's just, that first attempt didn't catch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
would I see anything on the outside that I have my whip I made out of rat tails a long time ago?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything I can try grab with that?
So you can also roll me a percentile dice.
Okay. 20.
You're looking around. There's some rock outcroppings and things like that maybe it could go around, but it would be a little difficult.
I'll give it a shot. Why not?
All right. So yeah, you can go ahead and make an attack roll. Mika, are you trying the grappling hook again?
Yeah.
Okay, and so just roll me a percentile dice.
That's a 17 on my attack roll.
Okay.
And a 55.
All right, so that time, you crack out with the whip. There's sort of a rock outcropping that goes up a little bit, sort of vertical, and it does, catch around it, and it seems like it's on there. And Mika, as you throw the grappling hook in this time, you hear it clatter, and when you pull it back, there's a bit of a drop as the prongs go into a crack in the floor or something, and it seems to catch.
Awesome. I high five Clax.
So I probably don't do the whip. I'm like, which one?
Tie them together. That way we have like a loop-de-loop.
That's a good idea.
Oh, thanks.
Do that.
All right, so you sort of reinforce your rope and whip combo together.
Yeah. And I want to try to shimmy in.
Okay. So go ahead and still make me an acrobatics check, but you can do so with advantage because you've got some aid this time.
All right, 25.
All right, yeah, you jump across and sort of swing and then crawl in.
That's what it's supposed to be the first time.
And so the tunnel is dark. There's light filtering in from the outside, and then it's sort of dimly lit for you.
I have pretty good dark vision. Can I see anything? I want to try to...
Yeah, so it's sort of like normal light, and then it bleeds into dim light, and then eventually it's still dark. What you can see is it's basically just a small stone passageway, round. It's all natural stone. It smells a little wet and damp. There's a little bit of water kind of trickling on the floor now and then. There's some cracks in it. It doesn't look like it was recently used. And it sort of just disappears into the darkness from what you can see.
Do I know what it might be, either structurally or if a creature made it?
Give me a nature check.
Is that intelligence?
Yes.
Okay. 18.
18. Okay. It definitely looks like it was constructed, as you're looking around and seeing marks. It doesn't seem like, you know of a few things that do burrow through rock. It doesn't have any of those marks that you would expect. And you do see what look like some tool marks around. So it looks like it was sort of carved out.
I want to sniff the walls. Does it smell like this is where people pee?
It doesn't.
Okay.
It smells a little damp, so you can smell like a little bit of rot and sort of fungus or mold kind of smell to it. A little bit yeasty. And like, that smell that wet rock has, you can smell that as well.
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep going. Unless
sitting out on scraps, I'm going to cast Detect Magic and see if I see anything.
Okay. So as you look around, you can see a faint glow, a faint aura sort of permeates everything. Okay. You can detect like a slight gradient to it. Like it's obvious that as you go deeper into the rock, it gets stronger. But where you're just on the outside, it's fairly subtle, that change, but you can see it. It's almost like there is something that's casting a magical field of like alteration magic through, the whole structure.
Interesting.
And sort of lace through with like evocation, and it's a complex kind of thing. Multiple schools of magic involved.
So I'm going to shout, "What do you see?"
I'll shout back. It's just a tunnel.
There's some cobwebs hanging down. No one seems to have come through here in quite some time.
It looks abandoned. Should I keep going?
Can I fit in there?
You can. Yep.
So let me see if I can come in.
Come
so
on,
I'm
friend.
try scurry across. That's acrobat.
Acrobatics with advantage.
Good thing I had advantage. 16.
Okay. So you manage to get across, and then, Scraps is kind of just clinging out to the outside.
Yep. And then I'll just turn to Mika and lead the way. And how dark is it in here?
So the outside light filters in, but then it's basically once you get, 50, 60 feet in, it would rapidly become pitch black.
I will keep giving him quiet updates about what I see, which is probably going to continue to be nothing until otherwise.
Yeah, I'll just keep walking behind her.
Really quietly. I'm going to try to be stealthy.
Okay. What about your companions on the ground?
I was wondering, how far away does this fortress look? As in, how long does it look like it'll take to get to the town?
Well, less than an hour.
Should we send Scraps back after people?
That might be a good idea.
Our grappling hook and stuff is still attached.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll go explain to Scraps to try ferry people.
Okay.
Okay. So if you guys are gonna, ride Scraps up, it'd be one at a time for each of you. But then you can, as he ferries you up. Yep. Sorry, Endrick, you had something.
Endrick's gonna go last, so that he can take a short rest. If that's possible while all of this is going on.
So a short rest is an hour. So it will happen. The ferrying will be less time than that. Just be like a few minutes.
Oh, it's only a few minutes? I thought it was longer.
Yeah, it's only got to fly up sort of, 200 feet or so. So.
Oh, okay. Deal with everything else that was going on?
It was longer. It was sort of 10 minutes before, but the thing has been sort of gradually lowering down a little bit.
Oh, that's... Okay. Endrick will still go last. Because he doesn't like the bird.
Before I go up, I tie Therese down with the horses.
Okay. Yep. So then, as you go up, I just need everyone to make a acrobatics check with advantage.
You say that.
16.
Okay.
Wait, is that with advantage, you say?
Yes.
Oh.
I think it is.
That is exactly what you're thinking.
1 and a 9, so total of 11.
Okay.
Not the best.
And Sela?
Natural 20. Plus, my acrobatics of +7 because I have proficiency.
Right. So Sela makes it in the first time. Just kind of jumps across, basically. Zevka, you'd be the second to go up since Endrick is going last. And, as you kind of get in, your foot sort of hits this crumbly patch of stone, and you find yourself quickly, starting to fall. So I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Would one of us be able to, reach out to grab his arm and help him in?
That's a natural 20.
Oh,
all right.
Never mind.
Natural 20 for a total of 22.
Yeah. So when you catch yourself, though, it's after you've already dropped, right? So now you're about 10 feet down from the hole, clinging. You're first just clinging by one hand, doing the like free hang off the rock kind of thing. You manage to eventually get a second hand lodged in, but you're just hanging off the cliff face 10 feet down from the hole. And Scraps by this point is already like descending to pick up Endrick.
I'd like to throw a rope down if the rope that they had put in earlier doesn't reach Zafka and try and...
It would be able to reach him, yeah. If you would have to angle it around. It's more just that it's long enough, but it's hanging sort of further away from him. But if you kind of moved it over, you could get it sort of within his reach.
Yeah, I've also got my own rope, so that way I don't have to dislodge or accidentally touch something and accidentally have it like come loose. So, love to help pull Zafka back up.
I'll try and climb up as well when the rope's there.
Okay, so go ahead and give me an athletics check with advantage.
Just him, or...?
Just him.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, rolls again. Terrible. 15 total, though.
Okay, yeah, so you managed to get yourself hand over hand back up. And then, Endrick, what was your total for your acrobatics?
6.
Okay, and so you managed to get in as well. So you guys are all in the tunnel now, advancing through...
After everybody gets in, I tell Scraps to go pick up Correct on top.
So speaking of on top, so Correct, you fly down to sort of land on this. So basically, as you get closer, what you can see is there's like a small enclosed structure. So it's got, a roof and these big kind of open windows, and it's round, sort of almost like a puck with like a little, pagoda sort of top on it.
What's it made out of?
So that is a good question. As you're looking at the spire and everything else, give me a investigation check.
8.
All right. Everything is made of these interlocking segments of a white, kind of rough-looking material. And they're all kind of... It's not uniform. They're all slightly different sizes. Quite a lot of them are long and curved, almost like a rib. And then they're all like locked together.
That's awful. It's like a building of bone. And
yeah, funny you should say that. It really kind of does look like a giant building built out of bone.
So Correct is looking at this and he's thinking, gee, the last time we ran into some tall spire that had magic emanating out of it, Uru did a really good job on that. So I kind of think that the thing's kind of like coming out of this tower, right?
Well, there's this, thick fog reefed around it. And Uru definitely is resonating.
So Correct thinking he's doing everyone's a favor, thinking, if I smash this tower, I bet good things are going to happen. So he's going to fly up about, 30, 40 feet above it and drop Uru on the tower.
All right. So go ahead and roll me the damage for Uru in its enlarged form.
$60.
Okay. That's effect. And so it does double that, because you now discover that Uru has the siege property. So it does double damage against structures. So you can write that down.
Awesome.
Let's see. Okay. All right. So Uru, kind of, you get over top, hold it in your claws, and it's this like bowling ball shaped, sized stone. Has these glowing glyphs all over it. It's crackling with this electrical discharge. You use your action to enlarge it, and it turns into a 20-foot radius sphere. Again, still crackling, all this electricity discharging off as it drops out of your grasp, hits the top of this tower and smashes in through the roof, down through, and sort of a whole half of the top of this structure kind of shears off and then falls to the ground below. And you can hear Uru boof, 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 like smashing down the stairs as it just rolls around this spiral staircase in the center of the structure. And every once in a while, when it cracks into it, you can see cracks form on the outside where it, like rubs up against the wall and then careens as it kind of ping pongs like a pinball down, cracking through this structure. And then there's a door at the bottom, and it rolls out and just like rolls through a huge swath of these undead, just like steamrolling over them and then coming to a rest kind of in the middle. And the tower kind of sways drunkenly and cracks and like shifts and falls a little bit and then stays, it kind of stabilizes, but it's severely damaged. The fog cloud coalesces and it forms together into this humanoid shape that then solidifies, and the fog just boils away, and there is a tall, broad-shouldered, fierce woman clad, so this half-giant woman clad in sort of dark purple robes, and she's got a mask over her face, and it's divided in half, sort of like those Greek tragedy masks, and it's ivory, and she just kind of takes it off and she looks up sort of glaring and glances down and looks up again, and she sort of reaches down and she comes up with this large rock in her hand, and she just sort of concentrates on it a moment, and she tips her arms back and she throws it at you. That is a 21 to hit.
That's in the AC. I don't know if I can deflect it or not, depending on the damage.
It does 30 points of bludgeoning damage.
Yeah, I can't deflect that even if I rolled all the way.
I think you can reduce it, though, right?
I can. Oh yeah, reduce. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, and then if you reduce it to 0, you throw it back. But you can reduce it.
Or I can throw it back. Yeah. So I can 7. So I reduce it by 16.
Okay. And when it hits, it sort of discharges as this electrical energy surrounds you. And you take another 12 points of lightning damage.
Okay.
And she just yells up at you. Someone else who thinks they own the sky, I see. Well, we can't have that now, can we?
No, this one cannot. And he takes off towards the roof.
Are we hearing any of this down in the tunnel?
Nope. Nope. You're probably like hundreds of feet away in the belly of this mountain, and she levitates up and starts flying after you, just standing, but she's just like kind of floating after you as you're descending towards the rock. And she starts yelling out commands to all of the various, undead to seize him. But of course, they're going to have a hard time reaching you because you can fly.
So it's correct. He has to try and get Uru back. So he would swoop in and try to shrink Uru and take off with it again. So maybe he hits the ground and shrinks Uru as his action, and then.
Yep. Okay. So as you do that, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
7.
Okay. So as you land on Uru and use your action and shrink it, everything around you, then this whole situation, you see this like horde of hundreds of undead creatures. You're standing on your favorite pet rock. Someone just smashed you with a rock, like, a living cloud. You half destroyed a tower. All of this is utterly hilarious. It is just absolutely the funniest thing you have ever seen. You fall prone and you are incapacitated as you are just rolling around laughing hilariously.
Obviously.
Back down in the tunnel. You guys are creeping through this tunnel, and you can start to hear you can feel first that the air starts to change a little bit. It gets a little more moist and humid, more water and condensations on the walls, and it's also getting warmer as you're descending, and the tunnel is going up slightly, so it's not staying flat, it's ascending upwards a little bit.
I will keep going, and I'll kind of whisper back to Clax, who's right behind me. The air feels different. It's warmer up here.
It does. Let's go find out why.
Okay.
Token human has her floating light globe because she can't see in the dark.
Yeah, Clax can't see in the dark either, actually.
Do I see any light ahead?
Not yet. It seems to be pretty dark still. But as you're ascending up, so everyone else has kind of a choice. You could put the light up, or if you're forming a chain, the tunnel is not super wide, so people aren't going to get lost. So that's kind of up to you guys. Mika's at the front, so she can see at least a little bit ahead.
3 of us can see, 2 of you can't.
Yeah, I'm fine just letting Mika guide me. So.
I say we form a chain. It's a lot more sneaky, I guess.
All right, then if you'd rather do that, then I'll turn off my drift globe and just hold on to the person in front of me going, I can't see worth shit. I need to write a song for when she's in caves. Can't see worth shit.
Okay.
So as you guys are continuing to ascend up and go deeper through the tunnel, Mika, as you're kind of guiding through, and you can see a little bit, a patch of the wall on the side of the tunnel, you can see scratches carved into the wall.
Can I make them out? Do they mean anything to me?
What languages do you speak?
Common, Goblin, and Elvish.
Okay. You don't recognize the writing. You vaguely recognize that the glyphs used are a runic inscription that look like they are giant.
Oh, I'm going to whisper back to Clax. Hey, there's like some writing on the wall right here. It looks like a giant, maybe. Do you know how to read that? Or does Sayla? Pass it back to Sayla.
Not giant, and I just keep going down the chain. Anybody know how to read this?
I'll move past it, so if Sayla needs to get up with her drift globe, she can.
I unfortunately only know Common, Elvish, and Abyssal. So, why I chose Abyssal, I don't know.
What about Zevkar Endrick?
I do know giant.
Oh, read
okay.
this.
So when you get up, and yeah, you have dark vision, so you can see and feeling it in. It's pretty roughly carved in. It's like someone did it with like a very rough implement, very prison carving like essentially. But it says, "Here Torval was imprisoned. Here Torval did escape. Torval will not be bound, not to this one. However, the matriarch is still bound. I must free her. I will die if I must."
Well, I like this guy.
Tears are all about honor.
All right. Which way is the writing? Is it right side up?
Yes.
Okay, this was carved after this piece of stone was this way, like upside down, mountaintop floating. That's what that means, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is some dude who actually escaped this floating thing.
So we can assume.
Means there could be others that are still up there.
Could be.
This could lead to a prison. We could maybe find allies.
Nice. I like freeing people.
The possibility.
Usually they open.
There's also the possibility, though, that the prisoners are the undead that we've been facing. No?
Well, yeah, but if they're undead, we'll just, not free them.
We'll free them alternatively.
Also, the only thing, if it was an undead at the time, it wouldn't have been able to carve this.
Yeah.
Unless it was intelligent undead.
Perhaps there are some living still.
Possible. I will keep going.
Yep.
And I'll keep an eye out for more stuff of interest.
Okay. All right. So as you guys continue ascending, everything gets sort of warmer, and you can start hearing a clanking sound. It's rhythmic, and it's like metal on metal. So you can hear sort of like kunk, 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 sort of like a cog turning, and you can hear some like rhythmic clanking, like a piston or something.
I definitely want to check that out.
Maybe it's an engine room. I didn't actually think that there was going to be one, but maybe there is. Do I know what an engine room is?
You kind of grew up in a city, and so you're probably a little bit more familiar, like Clax, but for different reasons, with machinery as a concept of like physical work. And you would also know that, in many places there are this tradition of like the fusion of machinery and arcane power. So like magically powered physical devices.
Awesome.
Like scraps.
Like scraps,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I will try to be super sneaky and head towards that noise.
I'm going as well.
Okay. So you can give me some stealth checks.
Are we all stealthing?
Might as well.
Hold on a second. Because we're all within 30 feet of each other.
I'll pass
Yay.
it
Pass without a trace, mother truckers. So you add, I believe you had 10, and it lasts for an hour.
Yep.
Awesome.
Which is great, because I just got a 7, so that's 17.
I bump up to a 24.
Okay.
I'm 22.
30 total.
All right.
Ew. I rolled terrible for once. That's
21.
11, so 21. So
Okay.
actually not bad anymore. Thank God for pass
All right.
without a trace.
Yeah.
So you guys continue making your way upwards. Briefly revisiting Clax, who is laughing, rolling around hysterically among a horde of closing in undead. I need you to repeat. Correct. Yeah. Sorry. Repeat your wisdom saving throw.
15 that time.
All right. So basically what happens is as you're incapacitated and all of these undead grab you, you then shake off the effects of the spell. But you are currently grappled and effectively restrained as, 12 things all have their claws dug into you. But you're right beside Uru, which has shrunk now. One of your claws is still kind of on it. And this being is sort of floating down behind you and then kind of alighting on the ground and striding towards you.
Would this be getting at all close to when Scraps would be coming up that way?
So probably at this point, Scraps is like cresting over top and then scanning around. Make a perception check for Scraps.
That is a 16.
Okay. So Scraps does see what, does manage to pick out this bright blue and gold figure among a sea of gray and other, muted and unsavory colors.
Okay. He would start heading towards that, and if it doesn't look like he can carry out the order, which was, get correct, he would probably try free correct to get out.
Okay.
Correct would probably reach out and just start sunbolting as much as he could to try to get away. It's like it's kind of like a struggle / it's like the only thing you can do without actually being able to swing. So
yeah. And I mean, where you're restrained, you would just have disadvantage. So go ahead and make a couple of attack rolls with disadvantage.
Let's see. So 17 on the first one.
Okay.
9 on the second.
Okay.
And I guess you'd get a third in a normal round, which is not going to get any worse than an 8. So a natural 1.
Okay. So a natural 1 would miss. An 8 wouldn't, but a natural 1 will.
Yeah.
But so the first two, hit some of these creatures holding you, and they disintegrate as this radiant beams of energy just rip through them. Some of them are basically mere skeletons, and they just dissolve in these shafts of concentrated sunlight. So I would say you are at the moment, you've gone from restrained to grappled.
Okay.
So your speed is still 0, but you wouldn't have disadvantage on the next attack. But this creature being has sort of gotten close to you at this point, and sort of pulls off her mask, and you can see her smiling face in behind. And she just swings around with this big club that she swings at you. And that is a 19.
So can I use patient defense?
So you would have had to spend that on the round before, right?
Oh, you're right. It's a bonus action. I thought it was a reaction.
No, it's setting yourself up for the next round.
Yep. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's gonna hit.
Okay. that is 21 points of bludgeoning damage.
Yeah, he's out.
Okay. So she smashes you, and you kind of go unconscious. The creatures sort of let you go. Clax, make a dexterity check, acrobatics if you've got proficiency, or a dex-based attack, kind of whichever one's better for Scraps. Oh, you're muted.
That would be a 14.
Okay. So, as Krek goes unconscious, Scraps swoops in, grabs him, and takes off. Yep. Ooh.
Maybe.
Scraps to the rest.
Let's read it too soon.
as Scraps flies away, and she smashes at him with her attack of opportunity, and rolls a natural 20.
No.
So that is... Oh, that's not too bad. That is 27 points of bludgeoning damage on Scraps.
He has 1 point left.
All right. So he smashes into him. Bits of bone and everything go flying off of Scraps, but then he is flying away with Karek. Karek, you're gonna have to make a couple of death saves in transit.
First one's a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Second one's a 9.
Do you have your icon rolls?
No.
He used it already.
Oh no.
You want the third one?
So he makes the 2, and so that's 12 seconds blah, 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 going around. And then Scraps would be approaching the tunnel, but they're all deep inside.
Yeah.
And Scraps has a 6 intelligence. I don't know if Scraps can attempt a medicine check. I mean, it's a construct.
How's his wisdom? Isn't medicine wisdom? Which always seemed weird to me.
It is, I know. It should be intelligence, but they've got to give some skills to wisdom.
I mean, he's not proficient in medicine. But...
Yeah. I would let... it's more his wisdom might be bad, so he might suck at it, but he's smart enough to potentially try something. Okay. I'd probably give it disadvantage because it's also doesn't have hands.
Actually, with disadvantage, that's a 13.
All right. Krek is stable at 0 hit points in the tunnel entrance.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yay, Scraps.
Yay, Scraps. Now we're going to have a whole makeup, I rolled the third one anyway. It was a 5, so thank you.
He's still all alone and unconscious for several hours, with basically just Scraps to keep him company. Krek is now going to owe 1 to the flying undead thing.
So Uru is still up there, though, right?
Uru is still up there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's not awake to worry about it right now, so that's okay.
Yep. Okay. So back up the tunnel. You guys start approaching. Everything is getting louder, and you can see a light up ahead.
I see a light too.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
I'm gonna make sure that we're all still in range of the pass without a trace, but creep up towards if I can see some sort of entrance to peek around or get an eye out.
Yeah, so the tunnel's slowly, sort of gradually rising up, and then you can see there is a doorway that goes into a room. And the sound is loud enough now that you know that it's definitely coming from inside. And even from further back, you can see the light flickering a little bit, and you can see bits of machinery moving.
Interesting.
Okay. Is there enough room for Clax and I to be side by side?
It'd be a tight fit. You could probably do it. It'd be, uncomfortable for any length of time, but yep.
I want to creep up as close as I think will be safe and scooch all the way over so Clax can get up next to me.
So I'll get up where I can and poke around and kind of see what's going on.
All right. So as you guys get a look into the room, it's this circular, almost kind of cylindrical chamber, because as you look up, you can tell it goes up a little bit as well. And you can just see bits of machinery everywhere. All the walls are covered in metal. There's turning cogs and gears connected by drive shafts. There's pipes. You can see bits of steam occasionally hissing out as everything like cranks and rattles around. Basically, the whole room is one giant engine. It is all metal. But you can see inscribed on basically everything are arcane sigils and runes across, every bit of metal surface almost. And they're all faintly glowing a little bit. And you can see these piped conduits that kind of disappear into the rock. They've got metal collars, bolting them to the rock wall. There's runic inscriptions on the rock itself, where they meet. And you can see sort of this, almost faint energy kind of dissipating into the rock. And then there's this strange bundle of almost cables, flexible metal, also carved with runic inscription, bundled together that disappears into a hole in the ceiling that has another sort of metal fitting and collar where it disappears into the shaft and then, presumably goes elsewhere in the complex.
Oh, I'm going to poke Clax and be like, do you want to take some quick notes?
Yes.
And then I think we should wreck the place.
Might be tricky with the arcane symbols.
You just hit it really hard. That usually works.
The barbarian answered everything.
In particular, I was wondering if there's symbols around the flexible metal that's bundle that's going on.
Yeah, so it's it's very much like that metal conduit, like a power cable where the whole covering is metal, and it's like those individual pieces and it's flexible. It's like that, and yes, there are kind of spiraling around them are these runic inscriptions, and then there's probably about 6 of those that are all bundled together, and there's some like metal banding that kind of keeps them together.
If I go out and start looking around it, can I make any sense of the arcane runes at all?
Do you see any people in the room? Sorry.
You don't see any people, although as you look around, you see there's a couple of places where there's about 4 of these almost a recessed chair sort of like structure, kind of just in the metal, where it's like formed seamlessly and formed in to make this almost chair kind of device. And there's a corpse in each one, and they have a collar around their neck that's sort of keeping them held in. Their arms are like, kind of locked in and manacled.
Okay, so they don't look dangerous though.
They're not moving.
Okay.
This is a place of undead.
Yeah, and then there's another entrance, like there's another door that leads into sort of another tunnel, which kind of slopes upwards that you can see.
Is the door closed or open?
There's no door, I guess I meant. There's just sort of like an
Okay.
entryway. Yeah.
I would like to go over there and keep watch.
Okay. So you can go ahead and make a perception check for that. And Clax, you can make an Arcana check.
That's a natural 20, 27.
Okay. So, yeah, you're looking around, and there's a lot, so it's hard to really grasp, the whole thing at a quick glance. But you do see that various of the symbols that are carved in have to do with necromancy, and alteration and evocation magic are the three kind of dominant things. And it's this weird intertwining. It's definitely some method of channeling and transmuting magical energies and like life energy. You get this kind of sense of, a necromantic energy as like a power source that's then being turned into a mix of transmutation and evocation. It definitely does seem like this has to do with keeping this whole structure aloft. So it is, in a very real sense, the engine, this necromantic engine, but its power source is the energy of life itself.
I think the undead may be a byproduct of this thing flying. This is fascinating. But I think should be destroyed.
I agree. I mean, if we don't stop it, it's just going to fly over the town. Like, we got to stop it before it gets to the town, right? That's a big part of the plan.
That seems to be what people want.
Sorry.
Zevka, Sela, Endrick, what are you guys doing?
Endrick's sort of listening, but then he's like, if we destroy this, then it's going to fall. We're inside of it.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't hurt a lot. I mean, it's fine.
Okay. That is crushing. And I don't think we're fast enough to run out of here.
I'm wondering if removing those bodies from the chairs will have any effect.
Could do.
That's a good thought.
I'm just going to go try to remove one of the bodies.
I've got my bow ready just in case.
Endrick's going to poke it with his staff first. Just poke it, see if it moves, and then...
Yeah, you caught it, and I mean...
the door at this point.
It really just moves from the physical act of prodding it, but otherwise it's kind of inert.
Awesome.
So you pull it out, lay it, on the floor. Nothing seems to happen. You and Zevka both notice that a holy symbol of one of the saints of the temples, you recognize it, but you're not sure the exact saint. It seems, maybe a little obscure. Falls out of the individual's robes.
I pick it up. Can I see if I learned it in my church boy days?
Yeah, you can both make a religion check.
Nope.
Okay. But as you're, kind of futzing around with the body, the hand kind of, flops over and opens, and there's a scrap of paper clutched in it.
Ooh.
I'll pick up and read it.
Okay. So it's only got, just the very briefest of information. It's, just a small scrap of paper clutched up. But it says, Sister Iltani, Asher Conclave, and Tablet of Voldu Ekith in Odenkeep.
Do any of the rest of them have scraps of paper? Might make sense of that.
You poke around at the other ones. The others are 3 human males. They're all similarly garbed. I mean, they've got sort of like prisoners' robes on. They have a symbol of the same saint, but they look kind of, rougher, more robust. You get the idea they were sort of maybe like temple guards or something like that, that was with this woman.
Are the robes in good condition?
They're not in terrible condition.
I want them.
Yeah, they're serviceable. They're kind of just nondescript gray robes.
Now I have 5 gray robes. I'll put them all on.
There's always a lot of gray robes.
Cultists, man. They don't have any sense of style.
No. So in terms of the information, so Andric and Zavka, you would both know the Asher Conclave. So Asher is the city that is the home base of the Infinite Temples. It is where literally the Grand Cathedral is located. It is where the High Priestess herself resides. So it is the center. It is the Vatican of this world, essentially, or of this region. The Asher Conclave is a subgroup within the Infinite Temples that are focused on knowledge and research. So the saints they tend to worship usually often revolve around esoteric matters or knowledge, and that sort of thing. But one of their objectives is usually to find things that they consider particularly dangerous. So lots of older knowledge, magical knowledge that predates human civilization or from certain periods of the Asunian Empire that they consider dangerous, to gather it and keep it sort of hidden away. So that's one of their main objectives. They're about learning, but it's a very sort of hoarding, secretive, keep it to ourselves, it's bad, we don't trust anybody else with this kind of idea. And as you guys are figuring that out, there's a clank in the hallway that Mika was watching as she was then turned away into the room, and where do and as you turn around, get this to the right thing. All right. 2 of these sort of armored creatures kind of step into the room. They've got tattered chainmail on, a shield, and a battle axe that they're held loosely in one side. Helmed, their eyes glow with this pinpoint of yellow light as they kind of survey the room. And they just heft it as they look at you, and the 2 of them sort of charge in and both swing at the sort of first people they see in the room. One of them would obviously be Mika. And 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to randomly decide for the other. I should just roll that. And, oh no, it would be, there's only 4 of you, not 5 of you. 2. So Clax. So 1 at Mika, 1 at Clax. On Mika, that's a dirty 20. And on Clax, it's like an 11. So it swings over and clashes into the wall. But on Mika, the battle axe swings and hits for 6 points of slashing damage.
Go ahead.
I'm going to toss an acid at the one that attacked me.
Okay.
DC
I would
15.
sorry.
And it fails.
Crappy roll, 6 points.
Okay.
I want to attempt to kick the feet out from under mine. Like, I'm going to drop to the ground and just, like, kick his ankles as hard as I can.
All right. So for all intents and purposes, we'll treat it sort of the same as you would with, like, a shove or tripping attack. So go ahead and give me a athletics check.
Ugh, 7.
Yeah. Okay, and so its total would be a 12. So yeah, you go and swipe at it, but it's sort of just like brute strength. It kind of widened its stance, sort of shoulder width, braced itself. Your leg hits it, but doesn't manage to sweep it off its feet. What's everybody else doing?
Firing.
I would like to scramble backwards.
Yeah, and then Mika scrambles sort of madly out of the way.
Okay, bye.
It takes a reaction to attack at you, but it's a total of a 12, so it misses as you're scrambling backwards and the axe crashes into the ground.
I think I'll charge at the one on Mika.
Okay.
17 to hit.
So you swing and its shield just comes up and your blow clangs off of its shield.
Okay. Bonus action, igniting my Crimson Bite on my blade.
All right.
I'm just going to attack the one on Kallax.
Okay.
And a hooker. And cut off the side.
All right.
24. 26.
All right. So that hits.
For, I think that's only 8 points of damage.
All right.
And then the bonus action, smack him with the butt of the staff.
Yep.
25.
Okay.
No. That's better.
Why?
9 points of damage.
Why were you complaining?
Because that's like the 5th time this dice has rolled max,
So that's a good thing.
but it's every time.
Doesn't matter.
I seem to want to roll anything else. I don't like that. Oh, there we go. That's a 2. Never mind.
See, you should have just gone with it.
All right, so your slashing scythe, starts ripping into his chainmail, coming with the butt end. You're driving him back a couple of steps off of Clax. Sela.
I'd like to fire at the one attacking Mika.
Okay.
That is 28.
And that hits it.
Dude, I even opened up Hunter's Mark and I meant to talk about it too. Can I have done that or no? Too late.
No, it's fine.
Okay, cool. So I also Hunter's Marked it. Oh, geez, I've cast so many spells today. My lord. All right, so first attack is just 1d8 and 1d6. 7 plus 4 is 11 damage on the first hit. And then for the second attack... Oh, right. Yeah, it's already injured. Well, that's okay. I can only use Colossus on one of them, Kyle.
Yeah.
That's a 26 to hit on the second time.
Okay. And it wasn't injured the first time anyway, on the first attack.
Oh, that's right. They missed.
All right, so that's 2d8 and a d6.
Yep.
That's shit. 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 4 is 12, so it's only 12 damage on that one.
All right. So the arrow slams into it, and they both rock back. They both sort of open their mouths and start speaking in sync with one another. And the voice that comes out is not sort of like a raspy, undead voice. It is a powerful, clear, rich baritone that comes out, but it is disconcerting because these creatures have kind of split off from one another. They're on either side of the room, so it is this baritone stereo effect, and it just says, my. Well, we can't have you mucking about with the engine now, can we? Never fear, if my creatures here do not get you. And they miss both of their attacks on both of you. Their first attack, but they have multi-attack. And the second one, so that would have missed off of Zavka. Endrick, the second one on you is a 19. So that's 6 points of slashing damage. And the voice just continues, never fear, if these servants don't manage to stop you or bring you back, there's always more. So many bodies here. I can send so many after you. I wouldn't destroy the mechanism if I were you. Might not like the result. But if you turn yourself in and come along quietly, I'm sure we can discuss this like reasonable folks.
I'm going to say you might not like the result, and then I want to hit one of the runes.
All right. Go.
I was just going to say, I'm throwing an acid at the blurb.
All right. Throwing the acid, you basically throw the acid. Give me an Arcana check. We'll just see, you're picking out a real good spot, essentially, to damage it.
That is, what's Arcana? 15.
Was that for me, too? Because I got a nat 20, and I'm really happy about it.
Sure, absolutely.
That's more luck than anything. Because I don't know any.
No, and you're not trained in Arcana, but you managed to pick a pretty good spot, and so you clash into it with your weapon, sort of scraping across several of the runes, which kind of spark and damage as you damage the metal. Give me an attack roll as well.
That's only a 10.
Okay. And give me a... actually, no. Yeah, so it's like sparking and scratching across, but you don't sort of penetrate into the metal. It doesn't really do much damage to it. Sort of more superficial. What is everybody else doing?
I'm swinging it at the one in front of me.
Okay.
Kill.
Yep, I'm going to keep attacking the ones that we're attacking.
21 to hit this time.
All right, so that one does hit.
Okay. A total of 13 points of damage, 3 of which is fire.
Okay.
So that was 26.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. For 7 points of damage. And then the other end as the bonus action, which is a 19.
Okay.
Oh, 19's hit. Okay. For 9 points of damage.
All right, so that one, as your staff end comes up and cracks it in the head, it goes down. Although as it's, falling to the ground, it just says, oh dear, well, there's always more where that came from. And the other one takes 2 strikes at Zavka, and that is going to be a 19 to hit and a 15.
One of them hits.
Yeah, so the 19 hits for 6 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
Can I attack the one that's
waiting? Absolutely.
That's a 21 on the first attack.
That hits.
And I'll just use Colossus Slayer this time, because it's already injured. 6 That's 8 and 3 is 11 plus 4 is 15. So 15 damage on the first attack.
All right. So your arrow hits it, and it actually pierces through a gap in the chainmail, drives deep in, and actually pins it as it sinks into the metal in behind it to the wall. And it sort of just struggles a little bit and just says, as I said, these are merely disposable things. You'll come one way or the other. One way or the other.
Can I just fire at its head to just out of anger, just shut up, just stop talking?
Absolutely. And sort of as it's, fading, and your arrow like slams into its jaw and kind of pins it open against the walls. The yellow pinpoints that are glowing in its eyes kind of fade out.
Just shut up. Jeez, you're annoying.
You said there were like pipes with steam coming out of them. Places.
Yeah, and then going into the walls. Yeah. It seems like there's essentially some of these piping mechanisms that go into the rock wall just around the room, and then the cabling that went into the ceiling, and sort of it comes out and then splits from the bundle into individual cables where it connects at different points in the machinery, and everywhere where it connects, you've got like a little bit of metal and some arcane sigils.
So I have a metal garden rake in my bag of holding. Can I take the handle that rake and find where steam's coming out and see if I can just jam that in, just try break it apart?
Okay, yeah. So it's just sort of steam like leaking out from where some of the piping is like joined together, sort of thing.
Right.
It's but give me a investigation check. Because that is a good idea that you were on.
You can like bust the pipes open?
That's a 22.
Okay. So when you're poking around, you do find a place that seems to have like a pressure release valve, like what you're looking for.
Okay.
One of these sort of machines with a lot of clanking that kind of looks a bit like a boiler of some sort. But the runes inscribed around the bottom have a lot of evocation magic and seem to be emanating heat. And on the back of that, you find this, sort of pressure release type valve.
Okay, yeah. Can I try jam into that?
Absolutely. Give me a strength check just for, kind of how far you shove the stick in the hole.
That is a dirty 20.
Entirely appropriate. As you jam that handle all the way into the hilt. Just right down into the equipment.
Does it seem to have any effect?
Not immediate, but it definitely has like sort of sealed in. And, you get the impression if you hadn't pushed it in as deep that it eventually kind of just would have blew it out probably. Right. But you think you've got it jammed in there pretty good. Whether it will cause anything to explode or not, you're not sure, but it would probably take some time to build up enough pressure.
Sheathing my blade and dispelling the crimson bite, I'm going to wander over to Klax and say, you won't happen to have another of those healing just, would you?
I'll give him one. So, it's 3d8.
Do I roll that with you?
Let's see. It's 14.
So
That's me almost back up to full.
Is our plan to destroy the room? Is our plan to keep going? We should all be in agreement.
Destroy the
correct.
Destroy the room.
Correct. Roll me a d4.
3.
All right. You're still unconscious.
No.
In 3 hours from the point you were stabilized, you will awaken with 1 hit point.
Okay.
Hendrik's going to step into the hallway where the guys came from and just kind of stand guard there.
Okay, we're in agreement that we destroy the fuck out of this room.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to saw at the cables.
So,
Okay.
quick question. Would we know that Clax sent scraps after Correct? Just wondering, would we be getting suspicious of the fact Correct's not turned up?
You probably heard me command him that, but it's not clear what would happen if Correct was, his normal self and the vulture tried to pick him up.
Also, your Correct would have been fairly torn. Even if it's a flying hole, it's still a hole.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I was never going to come in here.
No.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, Hendrik's going to minor illusion a door behind him in the doorway.
You're
so
smart.
He's into it. Yeah.
All right, good. And give me a perception check for you sort of keeping watch.
I'm terrible at this. I'm really terrible at this.
But you have a door, so that's something.
You do have a...
Oh, I do have a reroll. You know what? I'm going to use it. Wow, a 10.
That's better.
All right. Okay, so Mika, you're hacking at cables. Zavka, Sela, Krek, what are you guys doing? Or Clax, what are you guys doing? Krek is unconscious.
I think Clax would assume that the best thing he could do is just throw acid on whatever he could find. So
Okay.
that's what.
All right. Give me a couple of Arcana checks. Zavka, Sela?
Since he doesn't really like...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, since he doesn't really like messing with magical items, Zev could be keeping watch as well.
Okay. So give me a perception check as well as you sort of go with Endrick and keep watch.
He'd be listening out specifically since Doobie ordered the like and he's got enhanced hearing, so advantage on that.
Perfect.
So that's a 19.
Okay. So yeah, you guys are keeping watch. Sela, what are you doing?
You said there was gears, right? Is there cogs and gears coming together?
Yep.
Max, do you think it would do something if I shoved something in there so it would stop turning?
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. I'm either going to, you know what? Huh?
Dagger.
Yeah, I'll just use my dagger. I'm literally just going to shove my dagger in there and try to wedge it between the cogs so they stop moving.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead and give me a strength athletics check. Because, it's kind of about wedging it in as deep as you can.
Yeah. Those words again. Oh, thank God, because my athletics is shit. I rolled a 19.
Okay, perfect. Clax, you a couple of Arcana checks.
Yeah, it was a 9 and a 16.
Okay. So, you're splashing acid on different places. It's hissing and bubbling. Definitely you guys all notice, various parts of the machinery start to shake and wobble a little bit, become unstable. With the acid scoring away sort of sections of arcane script, you can definitely tell that sort of however the magic was supposed to be channeled through, as well as the physical effects, that it's all starting to add up. Mika, you're sawing through the cabling, yeah.
I want to try to collect some of it, so saw it up at the top and then get a length.
Okay.
And then make a bundle out of one of my newly acquired cloaks.
Okay. So go ahead and also give me a strength athletics check, because it's definitely, in terms of how long it takes you to cut through is definitely more strength based.
16.
Okay. So you're hacking away at some of the cables. So one of the 6 you sort of sever and then cut a bit of the bottom off. And as you do, as you cut that off, there's a lot of sparking energy as you cut it initially. Do you need you to make a dexterity saving throw?
Ooh, dirty 20.
All right. So, you kind of throw yourself out of the way and shove it aside as it's sparking. And then it, dies down as the power that was coursing through it fades. But it's weird, right? Because it sparks out with like this like sparkly motes of light that kind of shower out like sparks and then drift down to the ground.
Actually, I'm sorry, do you want to finish?
Nope, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm gonna hand it to Clax and I'll be like, here, this is for you.
Thank you. I wanted some. Most interesting.
And so as you guys complete all of those sort of various tasks, you can then hear, so like that boiler starts shaking violently. And bits of the machinery start clanking. Some of the pipes are rattling in the walls. It definitely seems like something is about to happen.
Might be time to go.
Yeah.
I suggest we go back the way we came because we know how to
That's
get out.
actually a smart idea. Yeah, I like that. I agree.
How are we all gonna get down?
Hey, if
All
it
right.
starts to fall, just when it gets close enough, just dodge, roll, hope we take way less damage.
I mean, the tiny
Correct will
tunnels.
save us if it starts to fall.
The tunnel's probably the safest place to be. It's like in a tornado, right? Where you get in like a tiny cavern. Even if it shatters, the tunnel will probably stay intact. You don't know that.
So
Actually, would I know that? Because, ranger in nature and world.
I think if my RV was falling off a cliff, the bathtub isn't going to save me.
I actually don't remember what my favored. I think it's mountain. I don't know if it counts in here.
I don't know what this is considered.
no, this is more almost underdarky, right? Because it's caves and tunnels and stuff. But you can make a nature check.
Nature check? Yeah, I'd love to.
Y'all good and
I'll start shimmying
Hey,
real
we don't
fast
really
through
have
the tunnel.
another.
chat.
Oh, are they saying we're gonna die?
Yes.
Wow, thanks for the support, guys.
Well, Max is saying you're all going to die.
That's because Max is a jerk.
Of course it is.
That is 19 with my nature. That is 24.
Okay. So, indeed, sheltering in things like when there's a tornado, sheltering in a cave is a totally reasonable assumption. However, you've also witnessed things like explosions in enclosed spaces, and they go through whatever opening they happen to have available to them. So it depends on the size of the explosion.
Oh,
We could make
we're
another
gonna be in the
illusory
exhaust.
door to protect.
Let's get out of here. Let's try and get out of here. Because I'm sure Scraps is back that way. We can call him, and I mean, it doesn't take long to get us out of here.
Korok
so
might be able
hopefully-
to. Korok might be able to carry one of us. He's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Edric
Yeah, I'm gonna.
pokes his head through the door illusion. And it's just like, this doesn't protect anything.
Go. Let's go back where we came, like Clack said.
Yeah.
So as you guys start, quickly making your way through the tunnels, the noise behind you sort of continues to increase, and you can even feel some vibrations in the rock around you. It takes you, a good 10 minutes or so to descend back to where the entrance is, and you can see the light, and then you can see that the light is partially obscured by scraps clutched to the outside, just outside the entrance, and the light coming in illuminates a unconscious Karek.
Oh no.
Edric immediately goes over and puts 4 points of healing into him.
Just 4.
That's all I have to offer.
Yeah. And Karek's got like a nasty, like spiked bludgeoning wound where he just looks like he was walloped with a really big club.
Oh no. I want to heal him too because I feel bad.
I'll give him a healing draft.
Everybody heal them.
So you're all over Krek and pumping some healing into him.
That is 3 points of damage. I rolled 3 ones.
3 healing?
Yeah.
That's 2 from me. You're welcome.
Oh, we're up to
That is,
9.
wait, that's a 2, a 3, and a 4. You didn't even reach 10.
Yeah, we're 9.
And so Krek, as you kind of come to your feet, as some of this healing comes into you, you can distinctly hear like a high-pitched whining that starts to, come from up the tunnel, as well as this deep bass kind of vibration. And then there is an explosion. And then there is this like jet of like black and green flame that just comes barreling down this tunnel towards you, like just jetting down the tunnel. I need everybody to make dexterity saving throws, and you guys are all kind of near the tunnel mouth where it goes out.
9.
Okay.
15.
Oh.
I'm doing a lot of flying this adventure.
16.
16, okay.
I had 17.
17.
18 for me, 17 for
18.
Scrap.
Okay. Sela.
11.
Okay. Zevka.
15.
15. Okay.
The
So
girls
you all go to dive to the ground, and Sela and Mika, as you guys go to dive, as everyone's going to the ground, you kind of get knocked out and tumble outwards and down. Everyone else kind of lays yourself flat, and so you guys take.
No more saving throws.
Oh well, this is me rolling damage, so.
I know it is.
Oh,
I'm at
no,
death saving
correct.
throws.
Oh, this is bad. He's still counting.
Oh.
4 dice.
So 8. So 42, but then halved because you guys made your saving throw. So 21 points of necrotic. Well, actually, it would be 10 points of necrotic and 11 points of fire damage.
Yes, because that would have knocked me out otherwise.
Seeing Mika and Sailor fall out, can Zevka dive out after them? Now, if this is possible, I've got a plan to use the Burning Soul feature.
Okay.
That's 6.
Since that gives me wings.
Yep. So I would say you need to make a dexterity check for your reaction time, because you also had to, they're falling out simultaneously with you avoiding the fire.
Yeah. Okay. Is it just straight dexterity?
Yeah.
Yep, that'd be 21.
Okay. So you will manage to throw yourself out as soon as you can, but that's going to be around essentially after they fall out, right? And so they are falling quickly. And I'm assuming it takes you an action to activate the right?
Takes an action to use the Burning Soul, which gives me 30 feet of flying.
Okay.
Do we take damage? Or
So the good news is you failed your saving throw, which would normally be taking all this damage.
Uh-huh.
But in this case, the failing the saving throw was going outside.
We
So
might
you
take less damage from falling. It's possible.
Possible.
Damn,
so
I failed. Oh.
Yeah, she can reach
So-
the ground.
and actually, so when you fall from a great height, you instantly descend 500 feet, and then 500 feet around. So you basically like
Be gone.
plummet out. I will, the same as before, give essentially like one chance, Zevka, as you're diving after, to catch. It's difficult, but it's possible. So you can make a acrobatics check, a dexterity acrobatics check.
So it's +2. That's 14. +2, so 16.
Okay. So, you dive out to, snag her, and you go to grab, but it's still sort of, you get a little bit, but that's
I do have
that's
an
it.
icon dice. I do have an
Okay.
icon dice, so
Okay.
I'll use this, I think,
Okay.
and just roll it and see what I can't do. That's a lot better. 19, so 21 total.
Okay. So it is. So you'll sort of manage to do sort of the same thing, which is sort of like break her fall a little bit. So she will take less damage. Where's. Okay. So.
Oh, great. Oh, what'd you do?
So that's only 24 points of bludgeoning damage off of 10d6.
That's a lot better than filling the.
But Sela
Oh no.
is going the whole shebang.
Yep. Of course.
Rock and roll.
Crick can't say anything. He's like dead and good.
No, that's just my advice. Should we do metagaming pigeon? Tuck and roll, tuck and roll.
He's still rolling. Oh my god.
It was nice knowing you guys.
Now I just seen how much damage you did to the ground.
Oh, damage.
That is 65 points of bludgeoning damage.
I'm unconscious but I'm not dead because it has to double what my max HP is.
It has
right?
it has to take you to negative what your max is. Yeah.
It does
Yeah.
not.
No. So
Yeah.
so I'm
so many times today though.
As soon as I can.
I am
soon as I can,
unconscious.
As soon as I can, I'm diving the rest of the way, and I'll use lay on hands. I can only do 4 points of health, but I'll pour or fall
Okay.
into Sailor.
Okay.
So healing 4
Oh, thank
HP.
you.
Yep.
Go ahead.
So as that happens, and then everyone else is kind of up in the tunnel, there is a lurch, and the whole mountain, is going from flying level to dropping, not super fast, but it's like listing, and making a descent essentially as it goes forward. And it was already, sort of getting relatively close to Odenkeep. So you in the tunnel, you guys up in the tunnel, what are you guys doing? Craig, you're conscious and can fly.
Did Scraps take damage from the blast?
Oh, that's what was his saving throw again? So he would have taken the half. So you would have taken the
that would have
the 21. Okay, yeah. So Scraps gets blown apart.
Oh no.
So you guys on the ground can just see like bits of bone and stuff descending.
Mummified goblin head.
Mummified goblin head. Sela like lands at your feet, splits open like a ripe melon. So Krek, Klax, and Endrick, what are you guys doing?
I'm unconscious again.
Yes.
Can you heal him?
I have a healing potion, a regular healing potion. I'll pour that into Krek awkwardly.
And it's hard because he's got like a beak, and it's kind of like
it's.
You like pry it open and pour it in.
So what is healing potion?
2d4 plus 2.
Yeah.
That's 5 points.
All right, so Krek, you're now conscious with 5 points.
So the first time he came up and he saw the explosion, and he was like, ducked back down, and then was knocked out again. This time he wakes up and looks around. First words out of his mouth would be, "Uru!" Like, where am I? This one's in a hole.
This one needs to get out of a hole. Take Klax and go.
I don't believe that Krek can actually carry either of you.
Yeah.
Are they too heavy? Didn't he carry a dude before? I remember this.
Wilby.
He carried Wilby.
Yeah, he carried Wilby, and he carried a goblin.
Oh, was it a goblin?
It was a goblin that weighed 45 pounds.
Okay. Like, I remember a dude being slingshot like 100 feet.
So we can,
My burning soul lasts for a minute. Could I get back up in that time, having done all of that, or would that be?
So 30 feet. You could probably get up and get one person.
So get them up and get them down safely in that time.
Yeah, because it's moving away from you and descending. It would be pushing it, but you could definitely only make one round trip.
If it's thematic, take a point of exhaustion to kind of push myself.
It's more dramatic that you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So,
correct. Since he normally could fly, could he use a key point to use slow fall in combination with the fact that he could fly to just effectively kind of parachute the two of them?
Yeah, probably. You can certainly try.
So, before we go, he's gonna pull out one of these greater healings he got before, because he's thinking if the two of them make it at all, it's gonna be a rough landing.
Yeah.
What's a greater? It's 44.
I think that's 44 plus 4.
44 plus 4. Yeah.
I have one.
Oh, and Jake's going to listen up the path. Does he hear anything coming?
15.
It seems as you listen, I mean, you still hear sort of like faint explosions and things going off. And you definitely heard some like collapsing rubble and stuff.
Okay. So nothing should be following us.
So correct, throws it back, looks at the two of them. This one can take one.
Yeah, I'm flying back up there as well, so hopefully I arrive.
So I will say, point to Hendrik, say, take him, and I'm going to start trying to climb down as far as I can. Just climb the outside of the mountain. Just
and so Zevka, you see Klax like just climbing on the mountain.
That climbing speed, yo.
So I mean, you could grab Klax.
Yeah, I'll head over and see if I can grab him without him swinging.
Save Klax.
Bit basically want to try and carry him down without me surprising him enough that he would turn around and hit me. But yeah, if that's possible, I'll take Clax down.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would let you try that.
And how much does Clax weigh?
That's a good question. 190.
Wow.
He's a big lizard.
Yep.
Oh no.
How much does Endrick weigh?
Hendrik, with all of the gear that he has on, weighs 337 pounds.
So you can throw the gear.
So in other words, Endrick, how are you even walking around?
Oh, I have. It's 137 gear,
Yeah. Okay.
which I guess my encumbrance is 200.
Oh, you mean total of gear and self?
And
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Zevka, what's your strength?
17.
Okay.
Only I hadn't picked the fallen Asimir, I could fly.
Normally, these are the things that we kind of ignore and don't worry you too much. So your carrying capacity is 255. So Clax is 190. That's with the gear and stuff you're carrying.
That's not, but most of my gear is in the bag of holding.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So you can carry him down, no problem. Endrick, yes, because what's your strength score, correct?
0, or it's 11. Zero bonus.
Yeah, it's not much.
So you can carry 165 pounds. Endrick, how much do you weigh without your gear?
200.
All right.
He's a
Excellent.
tall, big dude.
So Endrick does the parachutist thing where you like throw your pack of gear out, and you and Karek go down with the slow fall and flying speed. And then I'm gonna have you make an acrobatics check for your landing, which is gonna be a little rough. Yeah, both of you.
14.
I get hit on the head of a falling pack of gear or something.
It narrowly misses you.
Got a 24.
Okay, and a 14. So yeah, you take a tumble. It hurts a little bit.
Correct fates again.
So it's 15 points, but halved for correct, so 7.
I'm
So I took
unconscious.
that potion.
And 15 for Endrick.
Yeah, Endrick is unconscious.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I think I still have healing potions.
I know I have healing potions and I have one spell left, so.
There's a convenient
All right.
healing potion inside of the pack that was thrown out.
Oh, there was a healing potion in that pack? Roll a percentile dice.
There's now a healing puddle.
Why would you say that?
Because it's only fair. 80.
80. Okay, so it actually survived, but barely. I'd internally set that there was only a 25% chance it would survive. So
There you go.
so you guys, get your healing sorted out. Healing potions, spells, whatever you need to do. As you watch as this, fortress keeps, or inverted mountain keeps descending at an angle, and makes what you could call a controlled crash into Odenkeep. Smacks right into the walls. You can see it plow through buildings. And it's like that classic, spaceship crash lands on a planet, leaves a big burning furrow. It's a lot like that, as you can just see it, crash in and plow into roughly about the middle of the town, which is only about the same size as Oak Hill, right? So it's only maybe 1,000 people live here, but it's got big, thick walls because it was well defended because it's in dangerous territory. And those walls are breached into rubble on the north side, a few towers, and then it smashes directly into the keep and temple complex sort of in the middle of the town. And you can see some fires and things gradually start to ignite in the town. And that is where we're going to leave off.
No!
No!
Technically, no one knows who we are. We could just leave.
I say we leave.
Yeah,
Someone not leaving without Uru.
We fucked up.
What was that, Sam?
I was going to say, Zefka probably turns to the group and just deadpans. Well, we fucked up.
We don't talk about this. This never happens.
We just got here. What happened?
So Max, as Farnak has yelled out, "Mother, no," because this is Farnak's hometown.
He's still alive.
Well, Farnak, but his mother wasn't a half-orc. He's the world's oldest half-orc at 60, but his dear old mother might still be alive.
No.
And our friend John from Red Hand Roleplay informed us that the population was 1,000. Less now.
We don't talk about this. This never happens. Somebody saw us up there. We don't know what happened. We just suddenly felt it lurch and explode, and we're like, let's get out of here before we die.
Obviously, whoever was running that fortress wanted to go out in style.
Absolutely.
I felt someone closing in. I thought, I'll take out as much of the town as I can.
Nothing to do with us.
No, nothing to do with you guys
Really
at all.
not.
Totally gonna blame us.
All right. Well,
Just gonna blame
thanks.
us.
Thanks everyone for watching and sticking around. As we ran over time a little bit, but everyone was in such a good position that we just had to resolve a few things and see what was going to happen. Of course, many icon things that got cashed in had complications, lots of 5s, so lots of snowballing complications all around. But I think ultimately that was quite fun, and everything is left in a interesting position for when we pick this back up. So thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you again soon.